X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time. Can you see it? All the ones who drag my name every single day. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? They keep saying you don't have what it takes to carve out your own name underneath the shadows of gods. And I keep waiting for the day disbelievers say I flew way too close to the sun. I wait, but it never really comes. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A voice that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. Why do they just stand there against when they fall from the battles I have overcome? You feel it, feel the cope and the seething tone that they make while I stand up, man among gods. And I keep thinking with my mill, shooting ropes in my cold that faces towards the sun. They hate, but I'm sitting comfy with their mom. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A voice that compels all to rebel from all that shackled mind. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A voice that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. It's you and me, your mom, it's me. I'll take another hit from my name. You'll see now, watch me right now, punch your face now. Show you how.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, hello. It's good to see you all here again. Welcome. What's up, Ride the Rails, Lefty Jenna, Gloria, Summerstar, Perry Icefire, Roxagon? Good to see all of you. Trusted Transistor, how you doing? Josco the Bard, what's up? How you doing? Astronaut Lad 172, glad to see you here. Bazooka Horse, welcome. I like you posting the Dutch emote. The Dutch emote's always fun. Snowy Prince, how you doing? Pinatas, what's up? Valda Shark, good to see ya. Killer Zed Boss, how are you doing? Hope you're having a good one. I see a bunch of people over on YouTube chat. How you guys doing? What's up, the Dark Canuck? Moment of Sanity, good to see you here. Welcome, welcome. Unity Space Cyber, what's up? Sorry if I miss anybody, by the way. I don't mean it. Gerard Gone Postal, what's up? Hello to you as well. Thank you all so much for coming today. I had a nice day off yesterday. I really enjoyed it. You know, just regained my my energies and fluids for my next 2 days of streaming. Feeling great, feeling energized and refreshed, ready to make some content for you guys. I hope you've all had a good day. I'm curious, by the way, what's everybody drinking tonight? I just have water right now, and a little later I'm probably gonna grab a Monster when, you know, inevitably like the 3 to 4 p.m. Crash hits me. But for now, I'm just water. Air, Monster, water, Kool-Aid. Pot coffee. Lemonade. Water and Monster to cure your headache? Yeah, Monster is unironically a good headache cure. If you know, you know. It's good. Water today. Water as well. Coffee, soon enough. Water. Some is that Mountain Dew Code Red? I think is what that is. You just said Code Red. I think that's a Mountain Dew. Root beer, nice. Banana Lassi. It's an Indian goat milk drink similar to a milkshake. Dude, there was goat milk at the store. And I thought about getting it, and I actually thought I did. I must have gotten distracted and forgot to grab it, but I absolutely meant to grab like a quart or a pint or whatever of goat milk at the grocery store because I wanted to know what goat milk tastes like. What's it taste like, by the way? I assume it would be like, I don't know. I love goat cheese, but never had the milk. Yeah, I mean, it's just the stuff that the cheese comes from is what the goat milk is. So I imagine it tastes similar, just not curdled, right? So maybe sweeter than goat cheese. There's got to be a reason that we drink cow milk instead of goat milk frequently, right? Maybe it's the yield they put out, or maybe it's the taste. I've heard it's a little gamey. Gamey milk. Oh. Goat milk is just cow's milk, but slightly more sweet. Interesting. Oh my god, I just switched to my iPad and I got a Trump ad before it had let me in. Oh, I'm sorry, Kit. Unfortunately, you're not able to control what ads play on your stuff, as far as I know. Other than, like, completely disabling ads, in which case, then you make no money. And then I have to go, like, dig ditches or something. I don't know. Hey chat, 16 days until season 3 of From. So true. I am so hyped. And by the way today, guys, we're not doing Minecraft after segments today. I know, Peepo's sad. The reason, though, might make you happy. We are going to be starting my blind first-time reaction to The Legend of Korra, the Avatar The Last Airbender sequel show, in the PV Community Hangout Discord. I'm going to be directing all you guys into there at the end of stream, and I'm going to be doing a watch party of it there. I've never seen Legend of Korra. All I know is that things look like more industrialized and modern, like just based on like some of the images I've seen of the show. Like it seems like the bending stuff and the lack of war maybe leads to like progress technologically, and I think that's a neat factor. That alone makes me just want to watch it, even if it's got a lot of problems like I've heard. I've heard it's 70 years later. Howdy, Zan. Had to get my septum piercing removed. Ooh. Guy who did it yesterday fucked it, but I'll get re-pierced and let's go, Korra. Hell yeah. Well, I'm glad you're excited for it. And I'm sorry to hear about your septum piercing debacle. That sounds god-awful. I am very sorry. The bending animation is faster and goes more oomph and has more oomph. Yeah, I imagine the animation is going to be higher quality in Korra, right? Because that was on TV... I'm pretty sure when I was in, like, middle or high school, which is far more recent than Avatar The Last Airbender itself. Did you hear Matt Walsh lost his fan base over telling them not to drink milk straight from the cow? That's crazy. Howdy, Zan. Oh, yeah, I already read that message. I already read that one. What's up, that dude one? Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a good day. Alrighty. I almost forgot this stream, and I usually do. But if you're watching right now and you haven't already, and you want to help the stream, doing this earlier is better than later, consider hitting the like button. Even on my live streams, even if you're watching on the site, it helps a ton. The thumbs up button, if you don't already know, basically twists YouTube's arm and forces it to put my content out in front of more people. So it really does help a lot, and I really do appreciate it. It's totally free. Prepare for frustration with Korra, especially in Season 2. I mean, if you guys expect it to frustrate me, isn't that going to make the watch parties even more fun? Because then I'll be able to go on long rants about how I'm upset about particular decisions they make. Why don't you hit the like button for once, Zan? Who do you think is my own first like every time? Zero Gravity 23, I'm sure he's joking. But he is known for his bad media takes. Listen, all I'm gonna say is, guys, Vosh does not know what From is and did not tell you to watch it like I did. Just think about that for a moment, okay? My media takes, tiers above his. Legend of Korra had a lot of cancellation scares, so each season sets up to the last. Interesting. So it's like supposed to be like a final season every time. And then we're like, oh, never mind, we got another season. They had to like continue after a big finale and try to outdo it the next season. That could end up being cool. It kind of reminds me of expansions in an MMO a little bit. Hey, Hash, good to see you, buddy. Remind Zan after segments to check out Sage 24 or 2024. Yeah, I need to look into that. I was recommended to last stream. My wife and I are so invested in From thanks to you, Zan. Hell yeah, I hope you're keeping up with it. You should come to my watch parties of it because Season 3 is coming out soon, and, I don't know. I've considered maybe watch partying it again in the Discord to get more people caught up and on board with the show before Season 3, but at this point, I feel like most of my audience has either seen it or, you know, if they're ever gonna see it, they already saw it, right? I've talked it up so much. Anyway. Yo, PepperT21, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Very based. It really does help a lot. Thank you. Said, hey, Zan, I'm making a stream schedule, and Ethan told me WoW is a boring stream game, but I kind of want to try streaming War Within because I heard it was a more narrative expansion. What do you think? Ethan is a big-time WoW hater. I've tried my hardest to get him into it, and he prefers Classic, but he really does hate WoW. I would agree that WoW is a boring stream game, unless you are catering to an audience of people who might already know WoW. And if you're following the narrative part of things, I don't know if people are going to be super into that, because I don't know how it's handled. I can't really say. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go with WoW as like a background game when you're still early on in streaming like you are. I would probably recommend, frankly, Minecraft. Everyone likes watching Minecraft. Like, it's fun to play and it's fun to watch. And it's such a great game to play while talking about things, which is what a stream is all about. People don't watch for, like, the gameplay or the background, whatever. They come to hear you talk about things they find interesting in a way they find interesting. So, yeah. Hopefully that advice helps, PepperT21. Those are my general thoughts. Thank you for the $5. It really means a lot and helps a ton. Thank you. And PepperT21, thank you as well for the additional $5 EDs. I really appreciate that. So based and pog of you. You are the GOAT. You're already the stream GOAT so far. The GOAT of this stream. Thank you. Said also, CJ Matthias did it again. Skyrim Brain Rot, the sequel. I watched this last night, actually. And, it's really good. It's really good. Lock in, Bible woman. Oh, it's so fucking good. Alright. We go with Chadvar. This video's amazing. I love this guy's stuff.
Ulfric Stormcuck. Some soy boys dick ride you as some kind of alpha. But an alpha doesn't flex a power like voice mod to unalive his short king. And cop his high chair.
Cop his high
You
chair.
started this beef. Plunged Skibidi into chaos. And now the Simpire is going to put you on punishment and restore the ratio.
Back in my day.
What the Sigma?
Ignore that obvious herald of the end times.
Yes, sir, Daddy Tullius. Lock in, Bible girl.
As we send your souls back to lobby, blessings of Raid Shadow Legends
For the
and
love of
Patreon
Kai, let's
subscriptions
just skip
upon
the ads and get this over with.
Oh no, was that El Riz? I practiced that in the mirror all morning, but okay.
My neck versus a headsman's axe? Nah, I'd win.
I'd win.
My chat is pog-champing me, Imperial. Can you say the same?
Oh, I love these.
You Imperial Abslers!
As racist,
on alt
as he
as
was,
he was on main.
Next, the
Such
Chad
a great
and the Black
fucking
Air
line.
Forces.
I had a house at your age.
Hurry this up. My DoorDash driver is around the corner.
Sorry, but you heard the girl boss. Gritty towards the block.
I say right foot.
Very clean.
Walking with it.
On your knees, prisoner. And arch your back while you're at it.
What the Sigma is that? Chat, is this real?
A dragon?
Chad, is this
Wait,
real?
that's no ordinary dragon.
It's a boomer!
School was uphill, both ways.
Run before they ask us how to install something!
Quit sticking out your fiat, Chad Elf. We got the dip. Now!
This is art.
That thing was a boomer, no cap. I could peep the mothballs and the smell of lead paint.
I wonder if these will be looked back on the way we look back on YouTube poops today, you know? Like, you ever go back and watch some really viral, like, 2010, 2009 YouTube poop and just look at the comments and sort by newest? And all the comments are like, you know, still coming back to this hilarious video 13 years later, and it's just, like, super dated. It's like, it's almost like carbon dating some, like, core sample of stone, but it's the internet, you know what I mean? Like, this era is now a layer in the sedimentary rock of internet.
I thought they were all retired.
Yes, but their bitch moaning and complaining never retires.
I'ma head out.
So true.
Got plenty enough ops as it is.
All this dragon fire is hot AF. Let me turn down the thermostat real quick.
Hands off the thermostat!
Chad Elf, is your Stanley Cup still unscuffed?
Lead cups are durable.
The Stanley Cups
get
have
away
lead
from
in
that
them.
boomer.
You'll never retire!
This shit is Delulu!
Music was better back in
This
my
is an
day.
edit of the main
This
theme of God of
shit
War
ain't
Ragnarok.
music.
iPad kid, take care of this bald head-ass Gen Xer. He's no boomer, deadass. Not gonna lie, prisoner. Running for your life is some good cardio.
So true.
My wife puts in her mouth guard when dinner is burned.
Why are you teabagging that corpse?
Trying to get sponsored by Lipton's. Let's move.
Everyone's a content creator. This is wild. Oh, it's amazing.
This boomer dragon is
There's some
attacking
Fallout
Buffett.
ones too, moment of sanity. They're great.
Face lock, you damn gooner. Out of my way.
We're escaping, Chadvar.
Fine. I hope that boomer takes you all to Ohio.
Team Chadvar for the win.
Chadvar seems like he understands the assignment.
Looks like we're the only Chads who locked in. Was that deadass a boomer for real? The siphons of Social Security? We've got to keep mewing. Come here, let me see if I can cut that cheap Etsy bracelet off. Now peep around for some shit to end their mewing streaks with. Lock in, bro. We could have hit...
Okay. We're not gonna watch the rest of it, but it goes hard as fuck. It continues to go hard. We gotta keep mewing. Nah. Yep. We gotta keep mewing. Man, if I'd shaved today like I meant to, then I'd be able to mew right now, and you'd be able to see the detail in the mew. But if I do it, it's just gonna be hidden under my facial hair. But I'll try. Yeah. We have to keep mewing. Alright, everyone. No, that's how all the people in the next Elder Scrolls game will talk. Yeah, no, it's canon. Sorry. Unfortunate, but that's the reality we live in. It's sad. The mouthguard line was downright mischievous work. Chat, are we so back? We're so back. We're so back. Let's go. Edging scrolls. Language is dead. Yeah, no, if Tolkien would be rolling in his grave over anything, it would be what we've done to the English language since his death. Unfortunate. Very sad. We must stay mewing. Okay. Chat. My lovely little pog champs. I've got some interesting topics for us to cover today, and they are all of course, here in the scroll. So let me go ahead and pick which one we're going to start with today. Let's start light with some policy stuff with Kamala and Tim. Yeah, this is the Elder Scroll, believe it or not. The Elder Scroll! My God! He has it! Oh my God, I love when news websites have ads. Let's go. I mean, I know they have to have ads to make money, but don't these news sites and companies have, like, just a ridiculous amount of money? Just an insane amount? All right, everyone. I hope you hit that like button. If you haven't, then why do you betray me like this, guys? Why do you hate me? What are you doing? Hit the like button. Come on, guys. That's what it's all about. It's about hitting that like button. Make that thumbs up number go up. I did? I don't believe you, Roxagon. How do I know you did? How do I know you did, though? You gotta post evidence in chat. But you gotta screenshot your screen, and then you gotta, like, upload that to, like, I don't know, some file hosting site, and then post the link to see that in the chat, and then I'll be able to see that and know. I'll email me? Okay, cool. You're gonna email me. Good. Just checking. You know, just making sure. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, everyone. In all seriousness, it's time for a segment, okay? Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. So we're really in the final stretch of the election, and we've been in the final stretch for a while now. Now we're really in the final stretch of the election, and things are getting a little real. And one of the biggest recurring themes for the current presidential candidates, well, I guess besides Donald Trump, considering he doesn't really talk about policy outside of his go-to catchphrases, which aren't really policies, they're just kind of sentiments, if anything else. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, in particular, have been being asked quite frequently in interviews and on media appearances what their plans are, particularly for the economy, one of the biggest wedge issues, yeah, I'd say it's a wedge issue, I guess. One of the biggest issues, like highest polling issues this election, and almost every election, to be fair. And unfortunately, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden did not get a lot of attention over the last 4 years for their achievements, their unprecedented accomplishments in growing the American economy and helping it to recover from COVID. In fact, the most coverage it got was generally from right-wing outlets accusing accusing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris of doing a planned economy. Everything was going to be communist. We'd be in bread lines, you know. They did that whole thing, and then when we experienced unprecedented economic growth, they said nothing. And then every time the stock market would take a dive for a day or two, you better believe they freaked out about it and talked about how this is Bidenomics. Meanwhile, very little coverage of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's achievements in office when it comes to the economy. And this has meant that over the last few weeks, and now for the next 60 days, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have an uphill battle to fight in this realm of perspective in which people believe that they haven't really done anything for the economy and don't have anything in mind that could possibly fix it. A lot of people who are going to vote for Trump in November, while many are on the Trump train and are sycophants, many more are kind of checked out of politics. They think themselves centrists, and they're just going to vote for him because the economy was better under Trump than it was under Biden. Is that true? Not really, but they think it is, and that's all that matters. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at this interview, or at least a clip from this interview that came out of CNN, where Kamala Harris is questioned on her plans for entering office day one, particularly when it comes to improving the economy. And obviously we've heard her talk about the whole opportunity economy thing, but what does that mean? Let's hear about it. And then we're going to go ahead and read a breakdown of Kamala's policy that she has already laid out, kind of all gathered together in one place for us to read. I figure it's a pretty useful resource. Anyway, let's check out this interview clip.
If you are elected, what would you do on day one?
Hold on, chat. I forgot to pause the music. All right, music. You gotta take a break. You gotta crash out for a moment. All right, let's watch.
If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the...
So this is going to be a recurring talking point from the Dems all the way up till the election when it comes to the economy. Something that I've noticed is that leftists on the internet in particular really don't like the term middle class. They don't like they just don't like it. Typically, leftists like to break things up between bourgeoisie and proletariat. That is to say, the owning class, the extremely wealthy means of production owning class, and the working class, those who work for the wealthy people that own the means of production. And when it comes to breaking down like workers' rights stuff, I think that's a pretty reasonable perspective. Like, I get why that is a popular way to look at it. But when we're talking about the American economy and when we're talking about an American president, we have to recognize that the majority of Americans do not see things that way. For the majority of Americans, there is lower class, and lower class means for most Americans living below the poverty line, which we looked up a few streams ago. That's $12,000, just a little over $12,000 per year for a single person living in a single person household. That is the poverty line for one person, and it's like $14K for two. It's not much more to be considered in poverty, like while being a two-person household making that much. So a lot of Americans, because of our very, very low poverty line, basically consider themselves middle class if they're not homeless. And when politicians talk about the shrinking middle class, what they really mean is people who are on the edge of poverty, perhaps even losing their homes, that happening and them losing their homes and becoming fully homeless or having to couch surf or truly being in a state of financial devastation beyond, well below or at the poverty line, which is itself unlivable. So there are tons of Americans in this country who have basically unlivable incomes. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They have no savings. Literally one medical disaster ends their lives practically because they're going to be in shitloads of medical debt. They don't consider themselves lower class. The vast majority of them don't. They think themselves middle class. They think themselves people who need to advance to a higher position in the middle class. But what terrifies them is that the floor is going to be eaten out from under them as the middle class shrinks, which is this narrative, this scary idea that has been going around for a while. And there is some truth in it, to be fair. And so that is the perspective that the Dems have been taking so hard in trying to prevent that thing that so many Americans fear.
Aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people. I think that people are ready for a new way forward in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and in an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans.
I imagine that she's kind of put on the spot here with this question. So when it comes to talking about Trump's policy, which I don't know if she should even really be talking about in response to this question, she's kind of redirecting. But if she's going to bring up Trump, I would probably, the first thing that comes to mind for me when it comes to Trump's bad economic policy was the steel tariff thing that he did. that was lauded by conservatives as such a great strong-arm business maneuver, but basically every economist, even ones that supported Trump, correct me if I'm wrong, or were generally like Republican, all agree that this would just result in raising prices for manufacturing in the U.S., which would trickle down to the consumer level and cause the products themselves to become more expensive to buy. And that was one of Trump's biggest, like, big brain economics moves, right? He was the businessman, right? That was the whole perspective. He was supposed to run this country like it was one of his companies, super successfully, and we're going to have a lot of money, people. We're going to have so much money. And didn't happen. Donald Trump is not good at economics. He's not good at running the country financially. He left this country in financial ruin after COVID. That was inherited by Biden. The Republicans very effectively spun that, obviously. But regardless, Kamala and Joe fixed the economy amazingly, an unprecedented speed, and at an unprecedented challenge, like with unprecedented challenge from all directions. It really does seem like the lack of attention was meant to hurt Biden, if it was meant to hurt anyone, towards like the achievements, but now it is harming Kamala, right? Like, everybody wanted Biden out, and so there was very little attention given to his accomplishments. But the fact that you weren't willing to give Biden any credit for anything means that now Kamala Harris has not received credit for the last 4 years of accomplishments her administration, too, has actually achieved. So it's a bit of an uphill battle, like I mentioned before.
Really dividing our nation, and I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life, to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue.
One of the biggest things I really hope we see, and I feel like a Kamala Harris administration might be what gives it to us, is just a massive, massive move to price cap diapers. Any parents in chat know exactly what I mean. Diapers are one of the biggest money drains of parenthood, early parenthood. It's like 3 or 4 years, depending on the child, of like just constant spending. I know parents, you know, and they talk about how much money they spend on fucking diapers. My mom talks about how much money when I was a baby she had to spend on diapers. It was an insane amount of money, and they're quite overpriced. I would like to see, yeah, this would be something the Republicans would fight tooth and nail, of course, you know, the party of family values. But I think we could potentially see that out of a Harris administration. Like some kind of cap on the price of diapers and other baby care products, you know? Diapers are expensive regardless of age, incontinence, or otherwise. Oh, yeah, are adult diapers also expensive? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a reason why they're as expensive as they are, but I feel there's some sort of highway robbery shit going on that needs to be addressed.
In our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
Yeah, so obviously she doesn't break it down too deep there, though that is a good response. I actually wanted to go into this BBC News article that goes deeper into Kamala Harris's set economic goals. So let's read this. New homes and an end to price gouging. Harris sets economic goals. Kamala Harris has called for millions of new-built homes and first-time buyer help, tax breaks for families, and a ban on grocery price gouging in her first speech focused on economic policy. The Democratic presidential nominee's plans build on ideas from the Biden administration and aim at addressing voter concerns after a surge in prices since 2021. Yeah, so the American economy is very complicated, and even I am not the best person to take this from, so take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt, and if anything I say you know to be wrong, please let me know, because I would like to be corrected. But as far as I'm aware, everything I'm about to say is accurate to how the current inflation and price situation with groceries and food is currently going down. Okay. So, throughout COVID, we saw massive amounts of inflation. Generally just meaning that the US dollar lost value, right? Like, your buying power went down. And this basically manifested for the majority of people as prices going up in grocery stores. Like, all of a sudden, something that was worth $2 is now worth $3 or $5, right? And that can be a pretty big problem. People got hit pretty hard by this during COVID, and on top of that, a lot of people couldn't work. And so all the prices going up and not making any money, it was a very, very bad time. Much of this was through Trump's presidency, but that was just the beginning of the economic crash. It really hit as he left office and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris inherited the economic ruination of COVID, and Trump's handling of it, should I specify. And so, generally when something like this happens, the economy getting fixed doesn't just make the prices go back to normal. Because those prices didn't go up like buoys rising due to water level. There wasn't necessarily like a direct math done to raise the prices as much exactly as the dollar has lost its value. That's not how this tends to work. The way it works is, in times of economic bullshit, companies set the prices. And sometimes they set them locally. If they know people have the money to pay more, they'll charge more. And if they know people don't have as much money, they'll typically charge less because they do still want to get the sales from people who are lower income. The fact is, after times like this, these companies know that they can either shrinkflate, meaning that they can just reduce the amount of a thing that they're giving you but still charge the same amount, or outright inflate the price, and you're not really likely to do anything about it. Like, what are you going to do? At the end of the day, the only thing you can do is not boycotting, it's simply not being able to afford the thing at its set price anymore. Maybe there's some cheaper store brand version, or maybe you just decide not to buy that thing at all. And as more and more people continue to meet that point where they just can't afford to spend that money anymore, these companies will take a hit to their bottom line, and in response, they will adjust the price to increase sales again. And that's how the prices recover if it's not done by some executive order or policy pass that caps prices or adjusts them via the law or some regulation of companies or certain business owners. And so right now, the economy has recovered substantially. Like, if you look at all of our graphs and economic trackers, the stock market, everything, the economy is in a really good place. Bidenomics has worked very well. The problem is these companies in many areas have not yet decided to start dropping their prices to an appropriate level akin to where the economy is at right now. It's already started, though. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but grocery prices have gone down, at least where I am they have. I've certainly noticed it over the last year or two. On top of that, I know that McDonald's made a big deal about lowering their prices recently, and that was like all in the news because everyone was like, holy shit, McDonald's is finally getting cheaper again. And a bunch of other fast food places have followed suit. And I don't think this has anything to do with Bidenomics necessarily, though I don't think it's because of not Bidenomics, to be fair, or Kamalanomics, I guess we'll call it. I think it has a lot more to do with the fact that people are pissed at the prolonged price inflation, and they're buying less fast food. They're buying less of certain things at the grocery store. And these companies are slowly but surely going to have to adjust the prices to something more reasonable, simply because people are just not going to buy it. Not because of some motivated boycott, but because they're just not going to be able to buy it anymore. It's not going to be able to fit their budget. Anyway. Many of the proposals would require action from Congress, where similar ideas have stalled in the past. Donald Trump said the vice president had already had more than 3 years with the administration to deliver her promises, which his campaign called dangerously liberal. So Donald Trump's criticism is, you already had enough time to fulfill these promises, but also they're evil and dangerously liberal. Quote, where has she been and why hasn't she done it, he asked. For one, I'm pretty sure the vice president is the president of the Senate, right? Not the leader of Congress. Not to mention, Congress is filled with hard, red Republican committees that are very much opposed to anything the Democrats, including the current administration, tries to push forward. Am I mistaken? Like, Donald Trump's take there is a little goofy. I wonder how much Donald Trump knows about how the, how Washington works, you know? Ms. Harris hit back in a speech on Friday in North Carolina stating, "I think that if you want to know who someone cares about, look at who they fight for. Donald Trump fights for billionaires and large corporations. True. I will fight to give money back to working and middle-class Americans." The campaign's proposals include a first-ever tax credit for builders of homes sold to first-time buyers, as well as up to $25,000 in down payment assistance for eligible first-time buyers, a move that her campaign estimated could reach 4 million households over 4 years. She has also called for capping the monthly price of the diabetes drug insulin at $35 for everyone, not just seniors, where it's currently capped, thanks to Biden. Finding ways to cancel medical debt and giving families a $6,000 tax credit, child tax credit. Tax credit if they have a new child. I thought they forgot to write child tax credit. She is supporting a federal law banning firms from charging excessive prices on groceries and urged action on a bill in Congress that would bar property owners from using services that coordinate rents. So she is running on policy that would force these companies to set their prices lower, not just wait until people can't afford to spend the amount of money they're wringing out of them and lower their prices accordingly, but to be forced to lower their prices in grocery stores. I like it. Democrats and their allies are hoping Ms. Harris will prove a more forceful and trusted messenger than President Joe Biden on economic pain. Robert Wiseman, the co-president of the consumer watchdog Public Citizen, characterized Ms. Harris's plan as a pro-consumer, anti-corporate abuse agenda. The Biden administration did talk about it, but they did not promote proposed measures anywhere near as aggressive as Harris is doing. Kamala Harris is in the current administration. I really love how, like, the media is even still trying to find ways to shit on Biden while praising Kamala Harris. It's like, trust me, everyone, Kamala Harris's administration will be miles more progressive than Biden's. Biden, you know, he didn't do shit. Trust me, you know, like, because people's perception was that Biden didn't get anything done because he was boring and the media didn't bother to cover his achievements. So for Kamala, who's far less boring than Biden, she has, like, energy and sort of stage presence in a way Biden didn't. They need to push this idea that she's not just more entertaining and more affable and charismatic as a presidential candidate. She's also, trust me, bros, more progressive than Biden, you know, and it's, maybe she is, but certainly not by the, as much as anyone is framing it, you know? It just feels like this post hoc justification for why it was, like, also somehow the most progressive position was to oust Biden in exchange for Kamala. It's like, no, it may have been the best, way to go about it strategically, but Kamala Harris isn't, like, some hyper-progressive figure that's, like, booted Biden out of office, you know? It's, or like, booted him out of his seat. Or taken his place, and we're all, like, super lucky for that from a policy perspective. It's like, they're pretty on par. She might be a little better, but they're pretty on par. And I feel like it's just, like, copium to try to claim that Biden wasn't better than he was. I don't know. It's weird. But pollster Micah Roberts, a partner at Public Opinion Strategies, said inflation was likely to remain a challenge for Democrats, noting that voters have a long history of trusting Trump and Republicans more on economic issues, like I said before. Trump's been holding the advantage on this stuff for like a year plus, said Mr. Roberts, the Republican half of a bipartisan team that recently conducted a survey on economic issues for CNBC, which found that Trump still held a big lead over Ms. Harris on the topic. Yeah, I wonder why. Maybe it's because you're still trying to claim that the administration she is still currently a part of is bad at economics and isn't progressive enough. Like, maybe get behind the candidate that you are behind also while they're currently in office. Like, I don't, it's so bizarre. Like, yeah, no shit people associate Trump with a better economy. Like the last 4 years of Kamala's vice presidency has been nothing but ignoring their economic achievements. We're still coping and trying to pretend like that was justified, by the way, in the same BBC article. Obviously, the article's not what claims that, but the person who they interviewed claimed that, right? Though analysts say some of Harris's proposals, such as the ban on price gouging, are likely to be popular, they have also sparked criticism from some economists. Bans on price gouging already exist in many states, applied during emergencies such as hurricanes. Yeah, well, we're still in a pandemic, and that should count as an emergency like a hurricane. But economists say the term is difficult to define, and widening such rules could end up backfiring by discouraging firms from making more at times of short supply. I suppose that could be an outcome, but if there is a low supply, then demand just goes up and they increase the supply if necessary. And at that point, they can justify increasing the prices if there's a lower supply. That's not price gouging. That's like what happened with PS5s, where they were like super expensive for a long time and everybody was like lined up outside of the fucking doors to buy them. And Sony was, I guess, in a rush to produce these things. You know what I mean? Like, that's not price gouging, though. That's just actually playing the economy, like, by the rules. But economists say the term is... Michael Salinger, a professor of markets, public policy, and law at Boston University's Questrom School of Business, said a similar ban was discussed when he served as the lead economist at the Federal Trade Commission during the administration of George W. Bush. Quote, I thought then that it was a bad idea, and I think now that it's a bad idea, he said. To impose controls on competitive markets will lead to shortages. That's always been our experience. Yes, I'm sure the conservative economists that served under Bush, I'm sure their perspective on economics is fantastic, you know, but Bush-era economics, man, they really served this country well, famously so. For example, the proposal to increase the tax credit for children to as much as $3,600, which Congress did temporarily during the pandemic and opted against extending, would cost more than $1 trillion, according to some estimates. But we can absolutely afford that. Yeah. $1 trillion's a lot of money, but we can absolutely afford that. Like, yeah. We absolutely can. Especially if it's a program like this that's going to save Americans so much money, you can tax the middle class more. Obviously, the ideal thing is we tax billionaires more, and that will happen, I'm sure, but we already have some pretty high tax brackets as it is, though more should be added for like your super, super rich people, and there needs to be accommodations for the loophole shit where they store their money and their value in assets rather than liquid cash. So it's not taxable in the same way. I do think that I think that the majority of Americans, and I think that most data suggests this, because I know it's the case when it comes to free healthcare, like a complete, like all tax paid for, complete free healthcare for every American. It would require that you raise taxes for the middle class as well as the wealthiest Americans. However, while that is true, in the long run, Americans would be saving an immense amount of money that they're currently spending on insurance and out-of-pocket medical fees, because they would just be paying like a small amount, everybody into the pot, for better healthcare. You know? So yes, we would have to slightly raise taxes for the middle class to pay for a lot of these programs, but these programs make being an American cheaper, just for everybody across the board. So it ends up paying itself off, really not in the long run. It's pretty quickly that it pays itself off, you know? There are so many, like in the case of free healthcare, countless Americans, I think like 40% or something like that, maybe a little more, are literally one medical emergency away from full-on bankruptcy, right? You think those people won't be willing to pay like maybe $100 or so more a year in taxes if it means that they never have to pay another medical or insurance bill again in their lives? Because I promise you, that $100 or $200 extra dollars a year they pay in taxes is going to quickly be dwarf the amount that they would be, or be dwarfed by the amount they're paying for those out-of-pocket fees if they have a medical emergency, or insurance bills if they have insurance. If they even have insurance. Higher taxes are worth it for not having to drop 20K on a couple stitches? Absolutely, dude. Hell, the fucking ambulance ride to the hospital is insane. But in the case of the child tax credit thing, yeah, if you're getting up to $3,600 or $6,000 in child tax credit, you're absolutely going to be fine paying a little extra in taxes, which is how we get a large part of the $1 trillion needed to pay for this program. Plus, not to mention, America already has a shitload of money to work with for these programs already. Like, $1 trillion is a lot, but it's not really that much. Like, the U.S. is rich, dude. With populism ascendant in both parties, that cost has not dissuaded Trump's choice for vice president, J.D. Vance, from backing an even bigger tax credit expansion. Professor Salinger said Trump's other economic plans would be unlikely to tackle inflation concerns. I feel like J.D. Vance is so desperate for people to like him, he just at one point said, you know what? If you guys like Kamala Harris's tax credit, I'm going to do an even bigger one. How do you like me now? I feel like that's what J.D. Vance did, and it just completely flopped. He's just constantly kicking himself in the nuts, and everyone's watching and laughing and pointing. Economists predict that increased drilling would have limited impact given the... Oh, wait, what? Okay. Economists predict that increased drilling would have limited impact given the global nature of energy markets and have warned that Trump's pledge to impose a tax of 10% or more on imports would drive up prices. I love that. Economists are coming out to say Donald Trump's plan to tax imports on oil so that we're exporting and like producing it here more by 10% would just drive up prices here, and it would just hurt the average American. It would just raise gas prices more than they already get risen anytime, like, say, a Democrat is in office by the companies that own the gas. Anyway, as it stands, price increases have been subsiding as the stocks from pandemic-era supply chain issues and the war in Ukraine fade. Inflation, which tracks the pace of price increases, was 2.9% in July, the smallest annual increase since March 2021, the Labor Department said this week. That is getting closer to the 2% pace considered normal, though prices are up roughly 20% since January 2021. Quote, the problem that people object to is that even if inflation is down, the prices are still higher. And that's true, but they're higher because of the natural working of market forces, Professor Salinger said. Quote, trying to stand in the way of the working of market forces is a lot like trying to stop the tides, he added. You just can't do it. I don't know about that, man. I don't know. I don't think it's literally I don't think the economy is a force of nature or literal magic where you can't have any earthly effect on it. I think if the president says you're not allowed to charge any more than this for, like, I don't know, dry food products, they're not going to charge any more than insert that price for dry food products, and the companies are still going to be fine at the end of the day. If they start to suffer, they can get a government bailout like they always do when some bullshit happens. Like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? I know this is a conservative economist that was talking there, but I find that hysterical. Anyway, I feel like that's a pretty good breakdown of what Kamala Harris's plans are, even if a lot of it came from the coping and whining of a conservative, which almost that's almost the best way to hear it as well, because when conservatives cope and whine about the progressive policies of a Democrat, they sell the policies better than any Democrat could, you know? Like, when I hear a Republican complain about these policies, they're like, oh my God, it's so dangerously liberal. They're going to give money to poor parents. It's like, oh my God, yeah, like, holy shit. I was already sold. You're giving me the hard sell now. Anyway, If you like this segment or feel you learned anything from it and had any fun with it or enjoyed it at all, please consider leaving a like. It really does mean a lot. I really do appreciate you watching. Every thumbs up that you leave on my stream, my videos, no matter when or where or what you're watching, really helps the channel a ton, so I really do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon so YouTube tells you when I go live or upload any new videos on my channel. Sometimes, or I should say most of the time, they won't if you don't ring the bell icon. And of course, consider commenting down below. It also helps the channel a ton, so I really do appreciate it. If you're watching this as a video and you comment, it really means a lot. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, my social medias are linked down below in the description where you can follow me on other places. Don't forget, you should join me on my fan Discord as well. There's a link in the description. It's totally free to join. I host game events, call-in streams, and watch parties there, as well as announcing all my new uploads and streams. So if you don't want to miss anything and you don't want to risk YouTube bugging out and not telling you when I'm active or I upload something, my Discord server is the best place to be for guaranteed alerts. On top of that, if you are feeling so generous and you can afford it and you feel like doing so, consider helping me keep the lights on and a roof above my head by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch to the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless, though, even if you're just lurking and hanging out and you haven't even said anything, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot, and I really do appreciate it. And as always, have a good one. Ugh. How do you guys like that segment? I feel like it came out pretty good. Pretty good warm-up segment, I would say. All right. Good seg, great seggy. Hell yeah, thank you. Balth, I'm glad you came in. I actually forgot to message you. Today, I am starting Legend of Korra. We're doing it in the PV Discord. Are you down to join me for my blind first-time watch of, like, I don't know, like 4 to 6 episodes of Legend of Korra? I assume the episodes are as long as Avatar, but if they're longer, then we might just do 4. Just curious, Balth, because I figure you might be down. But how are you doing? I'm glad you're here. Welcome. Anyway, Perry Icefire, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. It really helps a ton and means a lot. Thanks. Says, okay, so I debated someone on Kamala Harris and her record as a DA. They basically said she's a bad rep for black people and put many behind bars. They also tried to say Biden supported segregation. Yeah, those are just the popular Twitter talking points. You can try and claim those, like, things are true. I don't even know. They're probably not true, but even if they are, if you're in a debate like that and they bring up something that you don't, like, have the ability to immediately on the fly look up and see if it's true, just reply, even if that is true, what about their policies or behavior or anything that they're doing indicates they believe in that now, and how can you claim that, like, they're going to have a similar effect today? Because currently, at least Biden's administration has been the most progressive we've ever had. Kamala Harris's administration, if elected, seems to be set up to be the next most progressive we've ever had, so yeah. I'll have to catch up on my own. I am not feeling the best right now. Honestly, I should probably be asleep recovering right now. I'm so sorry, Balth. I'm sorry you got a fever. I didn't realize you were feeling that awful. Jesus, I hope it's not COVID. Have you taken a COVID test? Anyway, thank you for the $5, Perry Icefire. It means a ton. Let me update Areno, my Dono Golarino. My name is Xander Hallarino. We shouldn't condemn totally folks for having bad takes 60 years ago. That is true. We are literally trying to cancel people for having bad takes in, like, the 1960s and shit. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I care about what they believe and are doing now. I actually care about how my reality and every other American's reality is literally in reality affected by this presidency, not what beliefs they had in the past and how that makes you feel icky about them. You know what I mean? Okay, but if Biden is so good, then why no communism yet? That's actually true. You got a good point there, Lay Joker. You got a good point. I never thought of it that way. I really never thought of it that way. Jeez, wow. Oh my god. Okay, chat. You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Well, guys, it happened again. We went and did in America. There was a school shooting well, I think it was a few days ago now. God, it was on Friday, so that would have been like 3 or 4 days ago at this point. Yeah, pretty horrible stuff. It happened in Georgia, and it was at a school, obviously, high school shooting. You guys have probably all heard of it. America did its America shit again. I don't really want to get super deep into the details for myself, since I haven't looked super deep into it. I don't, like, when I hear about a school shooting happening, it's not exactly news that I, like, jump to read on. You know, it's just depressing stuff, and it's always happening somewhere, so... You know, I wait until all the story is out, so we've got more information, and then I'll catch up on it and find out if there's anything that I feel I have to say about it. Outside of that, though, this stuff is just kind of... I don't keep up with it. And because of that, a lot of this stuff I'm going to be learning with you guys now. But before we get into it, I just want to say something. You know how, like, you never know when there's a serial killer active anymore in America? I feel like back in the 90s and before then, when there were, like, bodies being found, and there was a connection, clearly, to, like, it being the same person, the word serial killer immediately came up, and then immediately the headlines were dominated with, like, there's a serial killer out there, whoa. And they end up being found, sometimes, usually. They stop reporting on that stuff because the types of people prone to becoming serial killers see that, they recognize that as a way of getting attention, and then they do that. There are still serial killers out there, don't get me wrong, but now they don't sensationalize it. They try to cover it up as much as possible until, you know, all is said and done, because they don't want other people to be inspired into behaving the same way for the attention that these serial killers were doing it for so much of the time. We stopped giving them what they wanted. I'm wondering how much of that is the same for mass shooters. How much of it is them just wanting attention and just following in the footsteps of the last mass shooter that got a bunch of attention before them. And if we just stopped letting the media sphere blow up with information about it, and giving these shooters so much attention, down to making sure their name is known everywhere, on, like, just plastered all over the place, they get their name and face everywhere, they get to make history. If that wasn't the case, I wonder how many fewer shootings we would see. That is 100% how and why the Zodiac Killer did what he did? Interesting, I didn't know that. Well, regardless, I wonder if the media handled mass shooters more like how the media handles serial killers, if we would see a similar drop in that crime. Because granted, we don't know how much less serial killing is happening, but, you know, crime has dropped across the board, even violent crime, since the 90s. So it seemed to have at least some level of an effect. Maybe not causative, but there's definitely a correlation. Can't deny that. They literally put the Columbine shooters on the cover of Time magazine. Yeah. Time magazine is not a great publication, guys. I'm not a big fan of it. Anyway, Appalachia High School shooting suspect Colt Gray and father appear in court for separate hearings. So here's the news video on this. Is it going to make us watch an ad? I bet it's going to make us watch an ad. I'm expecting an ad. Oh no, there's no ad. And it seems like it's the raw video too. Is this just straight up raw video of the court appearance? Holy crap. I didn't expect that.
Good morning, sir. Are you Mr. Colt Gray? Sir. My name's Curry Mingledorf. I'm assigned.
So, do we know what the... Okay, fuck off. Do we know what the political motivations, if any, of this shooting were? No, I don't want notifications, Fox. No, I don't want notifications, Fox. Do we know at all? Like, was there any indication, or does it just seem to be some mentally ill, attention-seeking psycho kid that went and did what they did? As usual, there was plenty of opportunities to prevent this. We're going to read deeper into it in a moment, but here's the court appearance of the suspected shooter. By suspected, they're the shooter, but that's just what the term they use. The shooter in court appearing for their first appearance.
And to preside over this morning's proceedings. Mr. Gray, I do need to inquire as to whether you're able to read and write the English language. Yes, sir. All right. I also want to inform you, I want to ask you, do you understand that you have the right to be represented by an attorney in these proceedings? Yes, sir. And you are, in fact, represented today, is that correct? Yes, sir. And Mr. Zane Harmon, you're here on behalf of this defendant, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And you understand that you have the right to be continuously represented throughout this proceeding, and if you cannot afford to hire counsel, then this court is obligated under the Constitution to provide.
He looks super young. I mean, he's a high school student, presumably that went to the high school that he shot up.
Without cost to you. All right, I am going to inform you of a few other matters, and I'm not going to ask you anything, just inform you. So one is, I want to make sure that you are aware that you have the right to remain.
So some Balth in chat theorizes that the motivation could have been because apparently something came out about the mom leaving the kid with his dad so she could go be a drug addict. And so it's possible that he was motivated by a general hatred of women. And that's definitely, that sounds like a possibility, but I certainly think that played some part in getting the kid to a mental state where he would do this kind of thing. Also, the dad fucking sucked. Yeah, I would imagine if he was so upset about it, you would think the dad would have to suck. Like, he wouldn't be so upset and have such a shitty outlook, I imagine, if the dad was just this perfect parent or a great parent that he got left with. You have to assume he's never really had a stable or good home life.
Silent. You don't have to say.
Not an excuse, but, mentally healthy people with good upbringings and who are in a good mental place don't do what this kid did.
Anything at all. And it's important to understand that
the gun was a birthday present. It is Georgia. You are able to give, a kid a rifle and just tell him to have fun in the backyard. I'm pretty sure it's fully legal, yeah. Pistol, I don't think so, except for maybe, supervision of a parent. But a rifle, for sure, yeah. And I'm pretty sure the shooting was done with a rifle, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong? I haven't looked I don't even know what kind of gun was used for the shooting. I'm just assuming it was a rifle because it's always a rifle for these kind of things. So yeah, in Georgia, I don't think they legislate minors even owning that. But even if they did, the parents gave it to him, or the dad gave it to him, apparently.
That because anything you might say could be used against you at further proceedings associated with your case.
Oh yeah, the parents are definitely, or the dad most likely is definitely going to jail. And it does remind me of that California shooting where both the parents rolled on each other and tried to blame each other and send each other to jail to get themselves out of it after their own son went and committed a shooting. Yeah, what pieces of shit they must have been, huh?
I want to inform you of the charges that you currently face. In essence, you are charged with 4 counts of felony murder, as outlined in the state warrants that have been issued against you. I want to make you aware that the maximum penalty for felony murder, so for each count, the maximum penalty is that you could be punishable by death, by imprisonment for life.
Do they really in Georgia? They'll kill a minor for a mass killing? I mean, really? They'll do that? That Georgia? I assume this kid's a minor. Is he 18? Or is he like 17 and going to be charged as an adult, maybe? He's being tried as an adult? He's 14, I thought? He's 14. Okay, yeah, so like a freshman. High school freshman. So, yeah. Damn. Damn. Yeah, they might put this 14-year-old on death row. Yeah, that's Georgia. That sounds about right. Yeah, Georgia will do that shit. They'll absolutely put a kid on death row to make an example. That is what Republicans do.
Without parole or by imprisonment for life, with the possibility of parole. If you have any questions about these charges, then I would urge you to discuss those with your attorney. I would invite you, Mr. Harmon, to inform the court as to whether there's a request for bond at this time.
At this time, Your Honor, there is not a request for bond. We will file the appropriate motions if that becomes necessary.
All right. An indictment by the grand jury for most felony offenses or accusations, well, you have the right to receive an indictment for these offenses. And I assume Mr. Brad Smith is here on behalf of the DA's office, or he is our district attorney, and he's accompanied by Ms. Patricia Brooks, who is his chief assistant.
I definitely don't like how, like, stone-faced the kid seems to be. Granted, we're just seeing him from behind, but, like, he's not visibly crying or upset either at what he's done or the situation he's in. And listen, I'm not an armchair psychoanalyzer, but everything about this kid's mannerisms screams undiagnosed, untreated, and unacknowledged BPD. Or not BPD, ASPD. My bad, not BPD, ASPD.
A preliminary hearing, you'll have the right also to a preliminary hearing, unless you make a bond, which of course at this point there's no bond being requested, or unless you waive such a hearing. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by a judge or a jury. You have the right to confront and cross-examine all witnesses. You have the right to call witnesses on your own behalf and testify in your own defense.
Yeah, Bell. Sorry, I mix up acronyms.
As you sit here in this courtroom today, under the law, you are presumed innocent. Your refusal
Wait, what the fuck? Is that like a little, like, noise-canceling microphone that she's, like, talking into? Like some kind of reverse fleshlight? So that she can, like, record all the things said in the courtroom with her voice without typing, but also not talk over or interrupt? That's insane tech. That's wild. I didn't know that existed. It's like a reverse fleshlight you just talk into, and no one else hears it, but the computer hears it and types it out, I guess. That's wild. Court stenographers are getting their jobs are getting easier by the day.
Testify at any point in any proceeding will not be used against you in determining whether you are guilty or not guilty. Counsel, let me just inquire as to whether there are any other items that the court should address before we conclude this preliminary hearing.
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
Well, I do have one piece of information to convey to the court. There was a development yesterday afternoon that makes it necessary for our office to have alternate counsel appointed, and arrangements have already been made in that regard. I've already explained that to Mr. Gray, and alternate counsel will be appointed by the end of the day today.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Donna C. Graves. All right, then with that, this hearing is concluded, and you may escort this defendant out.
Wait, what? Should we watch the video of his dad appearing in court? Dude, they're gonna put that kid on death row. That's crazy. Holy shit. There's no way that Republican red-ass Georgia doesn't put that kid on death row. Oh, God. Yeah. How do I... There we go. That's how I get it out of full screen. Like, there is no way they don't go all the way with that. Republican, especially in the state of politics that we're in right now, I can genuinely see it. Somehow the media is going to make this kid into a victim. Oh, he's certainly no victim, but I don't like the death penalty. I suppose it's especially rough to see, like, a 14-year-old potentially get the death penalty. You know what I mean? They killed several children. No? Oh, yeah, he killed several children for sure, but he is himself also a child, right? Like, I don't know. I do think that ideally America should not be practicing capital punishment at all, particularly against children, even if their crimes are heinous. We should try for a rehabilitative justice system, right? That is... just generally, I think something we should all strive for, especially on the principle that if for any reason, especially falsely, you ever end up accused of something, we have, like, the innocent until proven guilty part of our law for a reason. Because even an innocent person who's never committed a crime doesn't want to be accused of committing a crime and immediately presumed guilty. In the same way, I think even an innocent person who's never going to commit a crime and has no fear of themselves or anyone they know or love ending up on death row should still be opposed to that, because there have been countless people who have been executed and were later found out to have been given false confessions after being pressured by police because they never did it, or to have DNA evidence come up later that fully exonerates them after their execution. The fact that that could happen to you, it could happen to anybody, and has happened, is why, a large part of why I think capital punishment, it should be outlawed. Xander Hall, there are so many fucking signs. Kid literally said I'm going to do... well, I'm not going to repeat what he said. The kid literally said he was going to do it in the next 2 or 3 years, and when asked about it by his dad, was like, I was hacked, and his dad had no follow-up questions. I was hacked, okay? The boy is 14, a freshman, but the parents are the fucked up ones here. I mean, the kid's definitely the fucked up one here, too. He killed a bunch of other kids, but I don't know. Death penalty being on the table seems pretty cringe. Like, for anybody, but a kid especially, you know? Yeah. I don't know. I think the most powerful country in the world should have also the best rehabilitative justice system in the world. And let's be honest here, the private for-profit prisons are the reason why we don't have a better criminal justice system. There's a reason why the recidivism rates in America are so skyrocketingly high. There's a reason why our prison quality and our jail quality, but our prison quality too is so low. It's just the American people want to punish anyone who has been suspected of a crime. That is the, law and order, that whole mindset. Even the Democrats have to run on law and order because it's such a popular mindset with Americans. People want to see retribution. They don't want to see redemption or rehabilitation. Yeah, well, a big part of it as well is, if you execute someone, you've eliminated all possibility of them ever feeling remorse or guilt for what they've done. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if there's, like, a movie or a TV show where, like, the villain's gotta die, that's totally reasonable in most media. But in real life, it's like, yeah, you should keep these people alive so they have a chance of becoming better people and experiencing guilt and remorse for what they did that got them where they are, right? Like, that is ideal, and that is a thing that can happen. And even if they do keep their nose clean and get through the prison system, relatively, fine. A lot of ex-cons in America have a really hard time finding work. It's really hard to get put away and then get out of prison or jail and get right back into the workforce and become a productive member of society. For a variety of reasons, but a big part simply being that if you're an ex-con, it's going to be harder to get hired in the first place for any job. Decision by the Supreme Court of the United States in which the court held that it is unconstitutional to impose capital punishment for crimes committed while under the age of 18. Yeah, I don't know how I was under the impression they just didn't do that if you're under 18. Like, that wasn't even on the table, but the judge seemed to indicate it was. And the kid's 14. Maybe it's up to the states. It wouldn't surprise me if some states or all the states can make their own rules. Once you've done your time, it should be nobody else's business. I don't know. There's a reason why yeah, okay, you clarified. I do think, like, the sex offender registry is a good thing, for example. Or if you ever committed a sex crime against a child, you should never be allowed near children, right? That's just for other people's safety, not to punish anyone, right? Like, you gotta keep the kids safe. That's... Sorry, buddy, but, you know, it doesn't matter how rehabilitated you are. Gotta make sure the kids are 100% safe. You're not allowed near them, right? I think that's a completely reasonable policy, no matter how much time was served. The parents knew he was making threats about the school a year ago and thought buying him a gun would fix it. I don't know if they thought it would fix it, but the dad seemed to not give a shit. Just seemed like a pretty shitty parent, from what I've heard. So yeah, I don't know. It's really just such a bad situation. There's really no confirmation yet on a motive, though I'm sure we're going to find out as more stuff comes out. The Republican right side of things has already, like, hopped on board with the whole, like, nothing about this had anything to do with access to guns being the problem. Meanwhile, the left immediately jumps to, this is why we need to ban guns. Unfortunately, the reality is the answer to this is somewhere leaning left in the middle. The fact is the gun was likely purchased, as far as I know, purchased legally, and what was done that was illegal and couldn't have really been prevented by law enforcement was the handing down of that gun to the child to have. And then at that point, you know, the kid was in a, you know, not a normal kid. Normal kids don't take a gun to school and shoot other kids, even if they have a gun. And there are a lot of kids in the American South who have guns. That's not an unusual thing, by the way. It's just the factor of the parents still arming this kid, or the dad, I should say, still arming this kid after, you know, displaying several threats about a school, you know? Yeah, SSW Bradu, I don't know, like, how it's going about, but the judge is outright saying the death penalty is on the table, so I don't know if the Supreme Court, Trump's red Supreme Court, is going to get involved and stop it or what, but, like, they're pushing for the death penalty, and he's being tried as an adult. So, yeah. Anyway. Depressing segment, but regardless, if you enjoyed it or felt that you learned anything, please consider leaving a like. It really does help a lot, and it's totally free, and every thumbs up that you leave on my channel, no matter when, where, or what you're watching from it, boosts my content in the algorithm, twisting YouTube's arm and forcing them to put my content out in front of more new people, so it really means a lot when you hit that like button. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Comment down below to compound that effect. Subscribe and ring the bell icon so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video, because trust me, they won't do that unless you do. And of course, consider following my social medias, link below in the description to see more from me. If you haven't already, join my fan Discord. It is totally free. It is a great community. It's the main hub of my fan base. I announce my uploads and streams there, and host game events, call-in streams, and watch parties as well there. And of course, if you want to support me directly financially and you feel like helping me keep the lights on and a roof above my head and you can afford it, consider supporting me by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch to the Streamlabs link down below. But regardless of how you support me, even if you're just watching and lurking in chat and you haven't said anything, I really do appreciate it for just you being here. It means a ton. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again. Alrighty, depressing topic, but how'd you guys like that segment? Dad gave you a rifle when you were 20, but you have a lot of bears where you live? I mean, yeah, like in Canada and Alaska, a lot of people seem to be able to carry guns as long as they can prove... well, in Alaska, everyone carries a gun just because you need one. But in Canada, a lot of people who live more rural can get guns just by being like, look where I live. Hey Zan, why didn't you cover the Demon Mama pedo story? Well, I'm sure you can imagine it's not because of any bias I have in favor of Demon Mama. Well, I did kind of cover it. I watched Westside Tyler's video exposing it while I was playing Minecraft. It was just sort of like a bit of me on stream just gaming. But really, at the end of the day, I don't want anything to do with those fucking people. I tried to get away from all of them at the beginning of this year. And like in response to me calling out the most mundane criticism in Vosh, they tried to like vindictively go after me, and I could vindictively go after them and just keep the cycle going. But the whole point of this was to not have to like deal with their bullshit anymore. And through all of this, I've found that, like, a ridiculous amount of awful stuff that I didn't even know has come out about these people, and I've never felt more vindicated and justified in my instincts before. So I was writing a summary of my health status at the moment and had finished writing it as the segment started, so I'm going to post that now, writing this so you're not confused. Okay, thank you, Bal. They overreached so much over the Biden stuff. Yeah, and hilariously, all of the, like, faux Kamala hype has disappeared, and now, from what I've seen, Vosh is claiming that Kamala Harris has moved right, because the glazing of Kamala Harris could not continue on the online left. They had to, like, eventually get back to, like, their standard, every Democrat is just as bad as Republicans, like, line of action. And so, or like the Democrats are controlled opposition line of action. And so very quickly they start to claim falsely that Kamala Harris has imaginarily switched sides. I don't know. Now, I think that's probably a clickbait title. I'm hearing from people in chat that it wasn't just a clickbait title, Samara. At least every time that's been brought up, they have indicated it was not a clickbait title. But I don't know. It seems like the, like, pro-Kamala stuff is, you know, not as effective or clicky as any lefty content creators that support Kamala want it to be. So now they got to go back to the status quo of what they were doing to Biden, but they have to justify it. So, Kamala's moving right. Oh, Kamala's moving right, guys. She's getting less progressive. It's time for us to get rid of our hype. Also, you're looking healthier now. Good going. I appreciate it, Greyhounds. It might just be my lighting, but I mean, maybe you're referring to my weight? I don't know. Thank you. I appreciate it. There's too many libs in my audience. It was kind of clickbait, but the Kamala hype is slipping. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. No, it's about the message shifting right back to the status quo after the initial hype. Ooh, someone's mad about me calling it out. What messaging is shifted right, just a whim? Give me one example of the messaging shifting right from where it was before when Kamala got the nomination and Biden stepped down and all the hype was there. I'm very curious. The fact is, Kamala Harris's rhetoric has not shifted right. It's been the same as it's ever been. The fact is, Kamala Harris was less progressive during the primaries than Joe Biden. That's why I was so confused about so many lefties being beyond hyped for her to take Biden's place, because, like, she might end up being more progressive than him in the presidency, but as far as her platform during the primaries, she wasn't as progressive as Biden. So I was confused at first why people were so hyped, but I don't know. I guess it was just a general principle hatred for Biden. Israel? The narrative has immediately switched to Kamala is bad on Israel. They pretended like Kamala was better than Biden on Israel for like 5 minutes. And then like a week later, it's all about how she is just as culpable in the genocide as Biden. Also, people are getting mad at me for saying that the Biden administration has been the most hard on Israel presidential administration ever. And they're like, what? That's delusional, Zan. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, did you hear me say the most hard on Israel presidential administration and hear me say they have been hard on Israel? Like, overwhelmingly? Or whatever? Like, this administration, as far as I am aware, has been the only one to push as hard as it has for peace in that region. Like, there has been non-stop, back-to-back, consistent peace talks and, like, peace agreement deals being pushed by Biden to Israel and Hamas. Like, it's so bizarre to me how much the people who are in my audience still that are mad about me saying these things, they get upset, and I don't think they could even explain how Kamala is better than Biden on Israel, or if she, like, how she's gotten worse somehow. I genuinely don't know. Kamala's messaging shifts right. Like I said, you won't give me an example. We just watched a CNN interview. Are you talking about another one? What did she say that is a position shift right? Because right now you're just indicating that you have vibes that she moved right during a CNN interview, but during her rally she's back to normal, I guess. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Is it possible they're a Russian op? No. No, I don't think they're a Russian op in my chat. I think they're just a lefty. Whatever is disabling me, no diagnosis yet, keeps getting worse with it. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, dropped Cobalt. I mean, it's CNN. Yeah, I mean, CNN in general has moved to the right, that's for sure. But Kamala Harris hasn't moved right in any, like, noticeable way. I mean, the last thing we watched from her was her and Joe Biden talking about the importance of unions and how they're going to help to bolster unions going forward as more than they already have, because they're so important. What did she not say on CNN, just a whim? I mean, I'm just curious. Like, it's just interesting to frame, in any reality, to frame her holding her tongue during a CNN interview or, like, hiding her power level as her shifting right. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm Delulu. Here, let me knock that topic off the list real fast, and then really quickly, I need to go use the restroom, take a little bathroom break, and grab myself a Monster Energy, because it is about 3:30, and you better believe that afternoon crash is hitting me like a train. Normally, I wouldn't need it. Like yesterday, I didn't have a afternoon Monster, but like I've said before, when that afternoon crash of, like, slight tiredness hits me, it does not work well with streaming. You'd be surprised at how much energy you have to currently have to go into entertaining streamer mode, because you have to talk a lot and with very little pauses in between, and take very fast breaths that are really sharp to get, like, as much air as you can between sentences. And then you have to reduce the amount of time where you're not speaking. You have to make sure that you're thinking every word you say like 5 seconds before you say it, so that everything you say is relatively understandable and well put together, because a lot of pauses and stops and ums and uhs makes people not want to listen to you talk. They don't like it. Stuttering makes people not want to listen to you talk, so you have to try to reduce the amount that you stutter. It takes a surprising amount of energy. You don't spend a lot of energy streaming, but you have to have energy to stream, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that streaming is tiring. The time that passes, the day gets later, gets to be tiring. But when you start stream, and as you're going through it, you want to have high energy so you're entertaining. And if you don't have high energy going in, it doesn't come to you, you know, and the stream's affected by it, right? What the fuck? Dick Cheney is voting for Harris? What is this election? Well, the fact is that even some Republicans recognize that if Donald Trump wins, we might not ever have another election, you know? And as crazy as it may sound, there are some Republicans who actually care about, like, the existence of our democracy. Not many, especially these days, but there are a good few of the old guard who are just like, I just want to lower taxes for billionaires and destroy the environment. What's with this whole, like, coup and destroying democracy thing you guys are trying to do? I'm not on board with all that. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'll be right back, everyone. Just gonna use the restroom and grab a Monster. I'll BRB. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in just a second. I won't be going long. Alrighty. I have returned. And I have a monster energy to boost myself back to my high energy state of mind. Ah, shit, never mind. I misread your post. Nah, we need more aggressive shit from her, but I didn't see anything of her toning that energy down. Like, I don't think there's any lack of aggressive energy from her. What are you talking about? Were you guys not here literally, like, what is it, last stream? Where we spent, like, an hour watching a hour-long, or 2 hours watching an hour-long event where her and Joe Biden talked about how important unions are. It was just an hour of, like, glazing unions that exist and the concept of unions and like, talking about, like, seriously, think about this for a second. Imagine yourself 4 years ago being told the president is going to do an event where they're going to, with the running next presidential nominee, talk about the importance of unions after a 4-year administration of having been the most pro-union administration ever. It's like, it's pretty insane. It's actually pretty fucking wild how far we've come. How far the Overton window on some issues has moved in the last 4 years alone. Bernie wishes he could do this much for worker rights. I mean, Bernie's done a shitload for worker rights. I don't think he's, like, missing the ball or whatever. Like, if he was, like, elected instead, I imagine he'd be more progressive than Biden or Kamala have been. Bernie had the most progressive administration of the nominees in 2019. Bernie Sanders is what got me back into politics back in 2016. Neat. I was, like, kind of a Bernie bro in 2016, but I was really a Bernie bro in 2020. Or 2019 or whatever. Slashy, thank you for the tier 1 gifted sub to Lucky Otter. I really appreciate it. It really helps and means a lot. Thank you. And I hope Lucky Otter appreciates the free sub. It probably means a lot. Hopefully you enjoy that free blue name there. I know you watch this, but how would this work for live-action Minecraft?
I'm in Minecraft to discover one of the world's best-kept food secrets. Come on, look at this. Oh my...
Yeah, like, if they had to do live-action people in the world of Minecraft, this unironically would have been better, and this is just editing real scenes from shows and whatnot into gameplay videos they've taken. So, like, this would have actually artistically, I feel, have been a better way for the Minecraft movie to look. Yeah.
My lord. I'm here in search of the most incredible apple. And there's only one way to get them.
I've never made love to a tree.
I haven't climbed a tree for decades, and I mean decades. That
the sound.
It's delicious. It's so juicy. An amazing discovery. With enough apples from the jungle, I'm off to meet a guy who's been revolutionizing farming technology. Now, this farmer produces the most amazing potatoes. In fact, he's actually known as the mad potato scientist. After getting scammed for 15 emeralds, you've been drinking. I managed to get my hands on a potato. That is amazing.
That had to be an AI line. That after getting scammed for 15 emeralds line. No way.
Amazing. Wow. This is the kind of discovery that sends me straight back to my kitchen, because I've just tasted the most amazing potatoes. Next, I'm off to a place that's supposed to have the finest ingredient in the land.
What?
Oh la la, you are kidding me. Getting down there was an absolute fucking nightmare. And at the bottom, another surprise was waiting for me.
Oh my
God. At first I thought I found treasure, but then I made a horrifying discovery. What the fuck is this?
Rotten flesh. No, don't eat it.
Oh dear.
It's raw.
It's fucking raw!
Having survived my partial poisoning, it's time to face today's real challenge. This is it. Everything I've understood, got up to speed with this week. It all comes down to this. For my main dish, I'm making a potato and apple soup.
Holy shit.
Capable of replenishing 8 hunger bars. I'm also going to put a touch of honey in that as well. Seems as though word got out about my incredible meal. But right now, I can't afford to get distracted. But with just moments to spare, things took a turn for the worse. Hold on a minute. Oh, for God's sake, man.
Let's get out of here before we get shot.
Yeah, this guy's videos are insane. They're really well edited. I don't know how he does it, but they're insane. There's one where it's Avengers Endgame and Breaking Bad crossing over. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's this channel. Was it? Maybe not. Well, there's someone who makes edits very high quality, similar to this. That is, that's very godlike. And Tuco shows up and beats the shit out of Thanos at the end of Endgame. He crushes one of the Infinity Stones and snorts it. And yeah, it's so good. Anyway, as I said before, Slashy, I really appreciate it. Thank you for the tier 1 gift sub to Lucky Otter. It means a ton. Really, really appreciate it. Let me update the dono goal really quick to reflect all you guys' generosity. And then I've got a real funny segment for you guys next. It's a real good one. You guys are gonna laugh. You guys are gonna like it. Alright. Let me bring up the video. Oh, SSW Bradu. Apparently they executed, in Texas, they executed a 15-year-old. Capital punishment. So yeah, they can and will and have put minors on death row and followed through in the U.S. So it seems like the states can just do it anyway or fight and get it done anyway, even if the Supreme Court banned it. I presume because said 15-year-old committed a really bad crime? How pro-life of Texas? We all know. We all know Republicans, pro-life Republicans. They sure love killing, don't they? I am inevitable, and I am Steve. The eyebrow, the fucking, how does he do it? Ah, fuck. Damn, Jack Black has some real facial control with those eyebrows. I can't even get, like, an approximation of what he does. It's like some kind of wave, but it's also like... It's like he's doing double waves in his eyebrows. It's like genuinely something I cannot emulate at all for the life of me. Oh. Anyway. Let me get that, testicular breathing, semen retention video brought up. Yep. None of that was a joke. Not a single word of what I just said was a joke. That is what we're covering today. It's gonna be funny. Let me see if I can find it, though, because I have to dig through all of these fucking things. You guys gotta stop typing in the content suggestions or stream oh wait, no, I'm in stream discussion. No wonder I couldn't find it. Okay, that explains why there's so much so much typing. God damn it. Wait, where's content suggestions? Oh, there it is. God, it's all buried. I use that channel so much. I need to make it easier to find, because I always have a hard time scrolling and scamming, like, skimming for it. There it is. Ah, we found it. Oh, I forgot what the name of this channel was.
Testicle breathing.
Okay. All right.
What you're about to hear could change your life.
No, it won't. Okay. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Hello, everyone. We're back with another Incel video takedown. We're going to be watching a video from a No-Fap semen retention channel called Sexual Kung Fu. As you can imagine, this guy is also a pickup artist and incel. Much like your average kissing prank channel, you've got some like cuts of him making out with a girl that he paid to pose with him and to kiss him for photos that he could clip out to use for his banner. And as you know, a guy whose entire branding is stuff like this about how he totally has sex and women totally give him attention, definitely has sex and women definitely give him attention, you know, because people wouldn't know unless he talked about it and, like, you know, just sort of put it on all of his branding. How would you know, right? Like, that's what people who fuck do, so that everyone knows they're fucking. Because people who fuck, they need everyone to know that they're doing that, right? Like, they have to. That's very common. Anyway, so this guy has about 117,000 subscribers and nearly 1,000 videos, and they are some interesting videos and titles, if I do say so myself. And the one we're going to be looking at today is Testicle Breathing #1 Semen Retention Exercise, Cool Draw. Guided Testicle Breathing Exercise. So chat, I hope you're all ready to do some testicular breathing. Are you guys ready? Are you, like, as you all know, firebending is all in the breath, so surely backbending is as well. And we're going to learn these breathing techniques that are going to allow us to learn backbending today, okay? Are you ready? This is our teacher. Our backbending master.
Testicle breathing is the #1 sexual kung fu exercise. You could only choose this practice from the
Okay, I genuinely don't know what testicle breathing is. I don't know if it's like somehow breathing through your testicles, if that's a thing. I'm pretty certain it's not. If it's like breathing your own, like, I don't know, like testicle musk or something. I have no clue if it's that. I don't know if it's like holding your breath and squeezing your balls. It could be any of these things. Let's find out.
Sexual kung fu system to use, and you would get a lot of benefit from it. I'm going to teach you how to do it in this video. So the purpose of testicle breathing
it could be airing them out. Is it airing your balls out? Maybe that's what testicle breathing is
to circulate the sexual energy from the genitals, from the testicles, through the body.
Okay, so I made the Avatar joke about backbending at the start of this segment. I did not realize that this guy had like katanas and like a hanging papyrus like dragon, and was going to start talking about like the energy flow in your body, because like I think we know the bit we're playing into for the rest of this segment. He has to teach us how to pass the sexual energy through our chakras so we can enter we can learn backbending. He's literally our backbending master. We have to learn backbending from him.
And this has the effect of transmuting the sexual energy, changing the form of it from just this raw, horny energy.
He is genuinely describing this like it's entering the Avatar state.
Energy that wants to move down and out, which depletes us. And we start to train it to transform, to become lighter, and to move upwards in the body. Because for most men, the only pathway of expression they have for this sexual energy.
Oh my god, it's the Gooner Avatar. You're right, Adante Asai. He's got to restore balance to the Gooner world, or I don't know, like, restore balance to the porn sites.
energy is to impulsively release it through an ejaculation. And this practice is creating a new pathway of circulating and recycling internally so you capture that charge of sexual energy.
All the porn types lived in all the porn categories lived in harmony until the incest porn attacked. Now only the avatar, the Gunnar avatar, has the power necessary to restore balance.
And you put it to work to creativity, to making your body more healthy, vibrant, and radiant, intensifying your spiritual connection, really anything you want to put this energy into. And this is an essential exercise if you're doing
my energy into, okay, is he gonna teach us bending and on top of that how to like ring craft? Like in Tolkien's world, like how to put our force, our life force into an object and allow us to transfer power to it? Like the rings? Is he going to teach us how to do that with our sexual energy? Yeah, we have to channel our chakras, enter the avatar state, and we have to forge a ring. We have to forge the cock ring of power.
Attention practice, because what happens for a lot of men is they just stop ejaculating, but they don't actually do anything with that energy. They don't cultivate it. They don't know how to use it. This isn't just a physical.
So chat, for those that aren't familiar, semen retention is the act of keeping semen inside of your body, whether it be not nutting or nutting and apparently eating the ejaculate. That is a thing some semen retention guys do. Why is this what I arrived to? It's in the title, man. It's in the title of the stream. But on top of that, this guy seems to be of the belief that, like, just keeping the semen in your body isn't enough. You have to, like, cultivate the energies. These people are so weird. They're very popular. This guy has more subs than me. Like, you gotta understand, dude. This shit is popular. People fall for this stuff. Ball bending.
Physical thing, you must know the energetic skill to transform this energy into chi, into energy, and eventually into spirit.
Yeah, generally they wash it down with Fanta. Yeah, Slashy. That wasn't just Chris Chan. Apparently Fanta is the go-to chaser for semen. I don't know why, but apparently it's the go-to chaser.
Into Shen. Otherwise, you just get stagnant and it builds up in your balls. Doesn't do you any good. You just become a horny mess. So this is the foundational practice to start moving that sexual energy. And again,
have like the no-fappers finally acknowledged the fact that not jacking off isn't going to turn you into some like hyper aware, super non-horny, like it's just going to make you horny all the fucking time. And they finally acknowledged that, so now they have to find some pseudoscientific explanation for how you have to do an extra step that if you don't do, the semen retention doesn't work. So now that so many of these dudes have gotten into it and are like, hey, I'm just horny all the time, it sucks. They're like, okay, well, you're not doing the important final step we forgot to mention, where you have to cultivate the energy. It's like, okay.
Again, this is an essential practice if you are doing semen retention, because it's going to keep that energy moving. It's going to keep your sexual energy moving so you get the most out of your practice. Again, otherwise it just gets stuck in your balls. It doesn't do you much good. So by circulating your sexual energy, semen retention actually becomes...
Yeah, I forgot. The ball chakra. Very important, the ball chakra. Everyone forgets that one, but it's very important.
Effortless. You no longer feel extremely impulsive and sexually frustrated when you start to really work with this practice, because it gives you a new outlet for your sexual energy. And this practice works with the microcosmic orbit, the main energy channels in the body. The back channel flows from the perineum up the back of the body over the head to the roof of the mouth.
Oh my god, it's literally the energy flow things that the Avatar's tattoos are tattooed on. Like the arrow that goes over Aang's head, that's like the flow of energy through a person's body. And that's where the tattoos are. And he just describes how it goes. This is literally some fucking no-fap Avatar shit. What the fuck are we watching, dude?
You place your tongue against the roof of the mouth. It connects the circuit. The front channel goes down from the tip of the tongue, down the front of the body.
It's mewing.
And ends in the perineum. So we would create this loop.
So does mewing... Mewing lets you enter the avatar state. He's describing mewing, the whole like tongue to the roof of the mouth, and like so it involves breathing and mewing. Is how you do testicle. That is insane. Please tell me it's like breathing while mewing. Please tell me that's what testicular breathing is.
And that is the pathway we are going to use with this practice. And as you're doing this, you are essentially rejuvenating your whole body with this nourishing sexual energy, this Jing Qi. It really charges you up. It's a fantastic exercise. I do it pretty much every single day, and I have for almost a decade now. It also sets the stage for you to be able to have non-ejaculatory orgasms and complete ejaculation control. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit subscribe to support the channel and get my free ejaculation control course through the link.
Oh, there it is. There it is. So you pay this guy money so he can teach you how to control your ejaculation. That's the grift. Okay, cool. He obviously, as you can imagine, doesn't believe in any of this shit, and if he does, then in real life he's probably an enormous loser. More likely than not, though, he's just some guy, probably a gym bro, who recognized that there's a lot of like scrawny virgin nerds on the internet who will look up to any muscular guy who looks like or confidently states that he's sexually successful, and they will listen to every word that guy says about how to be sexually successful because they want like some kind of father figure to look up to. So like they're followers. They're fundamentally just followers. So, yeah.
In the video description below. Okay, so just a couple of technical things before we go to the guided practice. So first, we're gonna simply breathe into the testicles with our awareness in the testicles in a specific way.
All right, everyone, try your hardest to breathe through your testicles. I'm gonna do my best here, okay? I'm gonna take a deep breath. I'm gonna see if I can breathe through my testicles. No, I didn't feel that even close to my testicles. How fucking deep does this guy's lungs go?
To activate our sexual energy in an unaroused way. And then we're gonna transition into moving it through the back channel, playing with that, and then we're gonna move it through the complete microcosmic orbit, up the back, down the front. You're going to use a very slight physical engagement in the pelvic floor. This is not a Kegel exercise. You're not going to squeeze your pelvic floor like you're trying to hold in urine. That is a gross misunderstanding of the practices, and doing that tends to ingrain a stress response to sexual stimulation, which can create premature ejaculation or make it worse if you already had that. So we're not doing a...
Are the dudes who are watching this guy's videos getting laid enough to have premature ejaculation? That's like my question. Why is he assuming that his audience has problems with premature ejaculation? You have to be having sex with women for that to be a problem.
Full-on squeezing of the pelvic floor. It is a very subtle sensation. It's as if you want to squeeze the pelvic floor. It's like a 1% of doing a Kegel. It's the slightest little feeling of something happening there. And you do that on the inhale. This helps to activate this pump in the huyin. The huyin is the point in the perineum. It's an energetic hotspot. It's an area where Jing is stored, and it also has the effect of starting to bubble and pump Jing, sexual energy, upwards in the body.
What am I supposed to say? I don't know how I'm supposed to necessarily debunk the things he's saying. But I do feel like I have to when you consider this guy, like, he's got more subs than even I do. You know, like, this guy is a successful YouTuber who just talks about this stuff and people listen and follow it. I'm curious how many of the viewers are, like, hate watchers, though. Let me read the comments. It's very effective practice. I've been doing this from your previous video. It really helped me a lot in semen retention. Thanks, Jonathan. Live long, healthy life, bro. Hello here. In USA, United States of Africa, no one teacher about using your mind to control sexual energy. All we are taught is to last long in bed. Am impressed. From user-ZD6PG5GG1Y. Okay. Damn, I'm glad I refound your channel. I don't know why I didn't subscribe the first time I found it. Your stuff is a goldmine. Thanks for your awesome work, dude. Sir, please, a guided practice on scrotal compression. What? He hearted this comment. Sir, please, a guided practice on scrotal compression. Found this video at the right time. Been struggling with semen retention buildup. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks, bro. Haven't done this in a while. This is one of my all-time favorite practices. Have been wondering what will happen if I activate the energy by breathing into the testicles, but don't perform the other 2 steps, as it happens with me sometimes. Hope it's not a problem. Also, in the guided practice on your website, you teach to directly guide the energy into the heart through the central channel, which has worked well for me. Is that as good as guiding the energy through the microcosmic orbit? Thank you. Oh my god. Like, they've been hitting the pipe for sure. Yeah, some of these people are hitting the pipe. Just found your channel and want to say thank you. Seems convincing. Thanks, Jonathan. When I circulate my breath, I return the breath to the perineum, completing the cycle. Is it exactly what I should do? Should I return the cycle by breathing into the daunting, or breathing to the perineum and completing the circuit? I have no idea if I'm even right or wrong. Please explain to me in easy language. Returning the energy down to the sexual center will recharge the sexual center. Useful if you want higher libido. If you have excess sexual desire and want to use the energy for something else, bring it into the Dantian. Thanks for these guided meditations. I hope it's right that I do this. When your microcosmic orbit meditation, just getting started but already feeling results. Thank you. Thanks for this practice. I already feel like it will make my semen retention journey a lot easier after the first time. Does the pace of your breath matter? Great vid. I find this much easier to focus on the sensations versus JQI Gong. Although different, would you recommend this over Qui-Gong? What? Just one question, sir. If there is consistent practice, does it gets to any tangible feelings? Thought awareness only, as you mentioned earlier, that is not necessarily about breathing, especially in microcosmic orbit. We have stumbled across just like an interesting hive of critters, haven't we?
It becomes activated so that the sexual energy, the essence of your semen, can move out of the testicles and into this pathway. So if I say to engage the perineum, that's what I'm talking about. This very, very, very subtle feeling of, it's almost like you're just kind of like, like a little plucking or a feeling of suction there. It's mostly mental, very, very, very slightly physical. Okay, let's get into the practice. So it may help you to massage your testicles a little bit. What I like to do is just kind of grab them between.
Now we're in the guided practice section of the video, guys. Holy shit, where is this going? All right, let's rewind that because that was one of the funniest sentences I've ever heard. All right.
So it may help you to massage your testicles a little bit. What I like to do is just kind of grab them between my fingers and squeeze them about 30, 36 times. That helps to bring more blood and awareness and just help to really anchor your mind and to really feel what's happening in the testicles. This isn't a visualization, it's a feeling. Using your kinesthetic sense of your mind engaging within your body to affect your energy. Okay, so now just begin to breathe. Ideally, abdominal breathing, breathing from the belly. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Keep the tongue against the roof of the mouth, just behind the front teeth throughout this practice. And as you inhale, keep your mind within the testicles. And there's this feeling like you are breathing with your testicles. It's like your testicles are a sponge and they're porous. And as you inhale, it's like all the pores on the skin of your testicles are sucking something in, like air or liquid, as you inhale. And as you exhale, you just think of this feeling of concentration, like it's condensing or compressing within the testicles. So you inhale and you use your mind to create this feeling of suction in the testicles, like they're inhaling, like lungs. As you exhale, it's a feeling of condensing something. This is mental, completely mental, with the awareness absorbed into the testicles. And it might also help to feel like the testicles are energetically pulsing as if they were lungs. So as you inhale, there's a feeling of suction and the testicles feel like they're expanding like your lungs do when you breathe in. And when you exhale, it feels like the testicles are energetically condensing, contracting. So do that for a few moments.
Do it, guys. I hope you're following
Remembering
along.
to do that very, very slight perineum engagement as you inhale. Very subtle. Should not create tension.
How do you feel about the fact that he is doing this right now? He is testicular breathing right now, on camera. He's gonna enter the avatar state next thing we know. Zan, you have to lead by example. He's just sitting there. Sir, I have no balls.
Just breathing into the testicles right now.
Sorry for all the no ball havers in chat who can't testicular breathe with us. Oh my god, this is such an effective watch time farm. Jesus Christ. This is an insanely effective watch time farm from this guy who can just sit here with his eyes closed for God knows how long and just farm that watch time. How long does he do this for? He does it for a while too.
Vibration. So this is the first phase, just breathing into the testicles, activating them. I will do this until I feel some kind of vibration, tingling, coolness, a buzzing, some sort of, for me, it's a tangible sensation. It may take you some time of practice to feel that, so don't worry too much about it right now. Eventually it will become more tangible. So now we're gonna transition to the next phase. So now you wanna feel like there's a straw, a tube connecting your testicles, the tailbone, and up the spine all the way to the crown of the head.
Yeah.
And as you inhale now, that slight perineum engagement, you want to think of sucking something up, this tube, like something's being drawn from the testicles up this tube. You use your mind to create this feeling of suction within the body. And the most simple thing is to simply move your mind along this pathway. As you
Sam, this guy is bringing my headache back.
inhale, you move your mind from the testicles up the spine, up the back, and to
What is he trying to do? Why do this? As he explained before, is this what toxic masculinity is like? Yes, this is one of the weirdest forms of it. The idea is that, when you do semen retention, you're supposed to, store the energy of not nutting in your body. The not coming, keeps energy inside of you that leaves when you nut. But he's saying that you have to, do breathing exercises and meditation, a special kind of testicular meditation, in order to circulate the sexual energy through your body and access, I don't know, a higher state of being and suppress your sexual desires or something.
the crown of the head. Let's just try that for a few repetitions. Remember the slight engagement of the perineum as you inhale.
Remember, guys, make sure you're very slightly engaging your taint.
Keep the mind at the crown as you exhale.
Make sure you're engaging your taint as you exhale, chat. Don't forget. And do not come. Most of all, you must not...
Now we're going to add a little subtle extra thing on the exhale. So you inhale, sweeping the energy up to the crown of the head. As you exhale...
Meditation's cool and is good mental health, but Jesus? Well, Galaxy Bomb, a ton of men, especially Gen Z and Gen Alpha men, or I mean Gen Alpha boys, but young Gen Z men in particular, flock to this type of stuff because a lot of them have a ton of problems, and they can definitely benefit from self-help stuff, or from like meditation, working out, and stuff like that. But seeking out a non-toxic, just sort of like positive outlet to learn about those things and to become motivated to do those things is not very common for some reason. Maybe it's due to some toxic masculinity shit. Who knows? But for a lot of young guys, instead of like meditating for the sake of meditating, they would rather find some muscular dude online who will tell them that if they do certain meditation techniques, it'll improve their sexual energy and make them more successful, and whatnot. Like, it's just, it's like, this is the branding of self-help that men are socially allowed to consume, if that makes sense.
Exhale, let your mind absorb. It's like the mind melts down from the crown into the center of the head and like absorbs into the brain, like liquid filling a sponge as you exhale. And as you inhale, you come back with the mind to the testicles, like you're sucking something up the tube or simply sweeping your mind up the back of the body to the crown. You exhale and the mind like melts and absorbs. You just spread your mind and absorb it into the upper dantian, the brain area. This has the effect of absorbing your sexual energy into the brain, the crown of your head.
Wouldn't that make you horny?
Inhaling up the back. Exhale, absorbing the mind into the crown of the head.
Dude, this is such a crazy...
Inhale, slight engagement in the perineum, sucking the sexual energy up the spine.
This is such a crazy, like, watch time farm of a channel, too, because so much of it is just him there with his eyes closed, breathing. And it's a guide, guys. It's totally a guide, so he doesn't even have to talk through most of the video. And meanwhile, people watch it all the way to the end, and he's just farming that watch time. Holy shit. Please stop, Zan. No, this is fucking hysterical.
Spine. And exhale, absorbing it into the brain.
How long does he do this for? He does it for a while.
It helps to keep the chin.
Time.
Now we're going to move to the third phase, which is the complete microcosmic orbit cycle. Everything's the same. You inhale, testicles, like you're sucking something up the spine. You sweep the mind up the spine, up to the crown of the head. And now, as you exhale, make sure your tongue is against the roof of the mouth. You simply sweep your awareness down the front of the body, like a waterfall. And you end with your awareness in just below the belly button, about 2 inches below the belly button and into the body, into the belly. This is your lower dantian, so you want to collect the energy there. So let's do this now. Inhale.
Gotta collect the
slight perineum engagement, drawing up the spine to the crown of the head, tongue against the roof of the mouth.
Oh, he's not mewing.
Exhale, now sweep your awareness down the front of the body into the belly. And it's like now your mind is absorbing into the belly like liquid filling a sponge. So the energy collects there. And then you inhale, again, back to the testicles, up the back of the body.
Dude, young men are in a bad place.
Exhale down the front of the body.
You know what this is? This is man astrology. I don't know if you guys are aware, but astrology is basically replacing religion with Gen Z. Like something like 30 or 40% of Gen Z claims to full-on believe in astrology and uses it to like guide their lives. Like so much so to the point where like if they meet like a guy or a girl and they're perfect, like a potential perfect partner, but like their zodiac signs don't match up, they'll like end the relationship right there because of that reason. Like Gen Z is essentially replacing fanatical religious belief with zodiac shit and astrology, and it's continuing to get more and more popular. And I feel that that same trend is just as popular because, like, you imagine, okay, but who among Gen Z is getting super into astrology? It's got to be like 80% women, right? I'm sure there are tons of dudes getting into it almost as much, if not equally so, but the brand of astrology, the brand of like spirituality that they're getting into is stuff like this rather than like, oh my God, you're such a Virgo. Like, they're getting into this shit. This is like Gen Z men's brand of like weirdo pseudo spirituality.
And as you sweep your awareness down the front of the body, relax everything. What helps to open up the front channel is to relax the face, relax the throat, relax your diaphragm, just really release this area of the body. Use your mind to create this feeling of like a thick, liquidy, like a syrup or honey dripping down the front of your body and collecting in the lower dantian, in the belly. So you inhale from the testicles up the back of the body, slight perineum engagement, very slight. To the crown of the head. Exhale. Like a waterfall, thick honey down the front of the body and into the belly. Keep going in this cycle. Inhaling from the testicles, drawing it up the spine to the crown of the head. Exhale down, sweeping the awareness down the front of the body, collecting in the lower dantian, the energy center in the belly.
Okay, I think we've seen enough now. So yeah, I read the comments section expecting to see at least a few people joking about how this is a gold mine of funny, and obviously not taking it seriously. But every comment I read was like a fully positive, complimentary comment to the content from people who are supposedly following these guides. So I hate to tell you guys, but this guy has over 100,000 people fully bought into this shit hook, line, and sinker, and they're following this dude's guides, and they think that like they need to retain their semen and like cycle their power or whatever. Fucking crazy, dude. YouTube is interesting because sometimes they'll just find these little like content creators that sometimes have hundreds of thousands of subscribers where they're just saying the most insane shit you've ever heard, like the Wheat Waffles guy and this dude and a lot of these incel channels. Like, they're very big, but you've never heard of them before, and their videos are insane, but they've got a very dedicated, large audience. It's really interesting. Anyway, if you guys want to ever see me cover this guy again, because he's quite silly, I feel like we could cover him again and get some good content from it, please let me know in the comments down below. It really means a ton. If you enjoyed the segment and feel like you learned anything, or you liked it, or laughed at all, consider leaving a like. Every thumbs up, no matter where, what, or when you leave it and what you're watching, helps my channel a ton. It really means a lot. Commenting compounds that effect, and it really helps a lot. Max Forrest, I'm gonna mute you for today because you've just been like really annoying that whole segment. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, you're gonna get the 1-day mute because you just complained about that entire segment the whole time and were the only person complaining about it. That was a funny segment. Just because it was cringe doesn't mean it needed to end and it was awful. Okay, like that was good content, undeniably, and everyone else in chat agrees. You were being whiny. Anyway. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell icon, follow my social medias, link down below in the description, join my fan Discord. If you haven't already, it's the main hub of my community, and yeah, it's very pog. I do appreciate everybody who watched, no matter when, where, what. If you left a like, if you were just lurking, means a ton, and have a good one. How do you guys like that segment? I feel like it came out pretty good. I've been thinking about, like, muting Max Forrest for, like, the last half of that segment. Sorry, Max Forrest, if you're still watching, but, the complaining about the segment over and over again was not very appreciated. Alright. Was a hilarious segment. It was such a great segment. Every once in a while, I do there's an amazing segment where I'm covering just a ridiculous, insane video, and there's always like 1 or 2 people in chat that are like, Zan, I can't stand any more of this awful cringe video, turn it off. It's like, dog, why would I end this gold mine of a segment because you're cringing at the thing that is funny because it's cringe? Like, you not having the ability to laugh at something like that does not mean I need to end the segment. You are being such a buzzkill right now. You know what I mean? It's like if you had like 12 or 20 people at a party and you're all watching a comedy and there's like one dude in that group that doesn't think it's funny and it's just making snide comments the whole time and everyone's just like, dude, shut up. Alrighty. Alrighty. Let me mark the topic off the list. I hope you guys are excited for the Legend of Korra watch party. I'm pretty hyped. I am pretty excited to finally see the show and find out what all the deal is, what everyone's talking about, what all the hubbub's about. Yes, of course, the scroll. Alright, let me bring up the next segment really fast. By the way, consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website if you haven't already, if you want to support the stream. It helps a lot. It really means a ton. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Alright, everyone. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Alright, everybody. So, some news came out a couple days ago. Some completely unsurprising news, but it is still very nice to have it fully confirmed and getting extremely wide media coverage nonetheless. If you've been paying attention to politics for the last couple election cycles at this point, then you know that Russia has been undeniably attempting to impact the results of our elections, very explicitly to try and benefit Trump. Why a country like Russia, which is very much not friendly with America, desperately wanting to affect our elections and get a particular candidate elected is not something that brings out more concern among the American people, I don't know. But regardless, it's been known about for quite some time. The very first headline that hit about Russian interference in our elections was the bot farms. Back in 2016 or 2015, a bunch of investigations were done that found that a ton of users on social media posting in favor of Trump, many of them claiming to be gay or people of color, were actually bot accounts run out of Russia. So from there, people were like, okay, so why are these like Russian why are these like buildings in Russia being run with like just bots posting shit about American politics all day on big social media platforms? Like, why is this a thing? And it started to come together. Well, okay, Russia wants to interfere with our elections. And it got even crazier when we had the big like electoral interference trial. Many people on Trump's own administration were actually charged and went to prison because it was found that they absolutely were working with Russia to try and help Trump get elected, something that was illegal. The only thing that wasn't proven was that Trump had any knowledge of it. And since then, it has continually been obvious that Russia is in some way, shape, or form pulling the strings behind the scenes and are somehow backing the conservative culture war being pushed in America. And for a long time, we had to theorize, like, oh, what could it be? Is it, like, are a bunch of right-wing figures getting payouts from the Kremlin? Like, what's going on here? What is happening? Well, it looks like we now know. At least we know some of the content creators, well-known conservative content creators, that this whole time, or at least for a while now, have been getting paid by Russia to promote Donald Trump and, possibly more importantly, promote Russia and shit-talk Ukraine. If you're wondering why conservative pundits have been so anti-Ukraine, well, it might all start to make sense here, and we might now have a pretty good litmus test for what conservative content creators are taking money from Russia and which ones maybe aren't. Pretty much which ones of them think that Ukraine deserves to be invaded and annexed.
We begin tonight with Russia still listening and still interfering in our elections. That is what we learned when the Justice Department announced indictments and sanctions Wednesday in a scheme that sounds straight out of 2016. The DOJ charged 2 Russian media executives in an alleged plot to illegally funnel millions of dollars to right-wing influencers by way of a pro-Trump media outlet. Specifically, the department charged 2 employees of Russian-backed media company RT with a nearly $10 million plan to fund an unnamed Tennessee content creation company as one of their covert projects to influence American politics. The company's description matches that of Tennessee-based Tenet Media, according.
Reminder, by the way, the Daily Wire is also run out of Tennessee. Unless they've moved to Texas, I am pretty certain the Daily Wire's offices are also in Tennessee.
To a review by NBC News of details included in the indictment. In a related but separate legal action, prosecutors seized 32 Russian-controlled web domains tied to a broader Russian influence campaign accused of spreading propaganda through bogus news sites to American voters. An affidavit supporting seizing the domains showed information.
Stuff like this is really making me wonder how much is Russia behind? Because the last 8 years have seen an unprecedented rising of the tide when it comes to, like, radical right-wing culture war shit. And it's just making me wonder, how much is Russia behind here? Like, how much of this is being, like, how much of this last 8 years of weird culture war conservative shit was being pushed by Russia? It makes me wonder.
Detailing a series of topics Russian actors want it amplified in the influencers' content. Things like encroaching universal poverty, record inflation, the halting of
Holy
economic
shit.
growth.
The Russia was giving them the talking points. The idea that everyone is going broke and that Bidenomics isn't working. The risk of job loss for white Americans. Holy shit. Russia literally giving them talking points to make, like, telling them, yeah, you got to make the white Americans scared. You got to turn them against the brown people. Privileges for people of color, perverts, and disabled. What? You got to focus in on the privileges that people of color, perverts, I don't know what, I guess that means like gay people if it's coming from Russia, because that's how like their media refers to LGBT people, and disabled people. The video sounds loud compared to you. Okay, I'll turn it down a bit. Thank you. I appreciate that, actually, Gloria. The constant lies of the U.S. political party, B administration about the real situation in the country. Constant lies of the U.S. political party? What? Like, literally, like, you must talk about the evil of America? What?
Unaffordable prices for food and essential goods, risk of job loss for white Americans, privileges for people of color, perverts, and the disabled. Constant lies of the U.S. political party administration
to be fair,
about the...
Hey, to be fair, you know who didn't show up in this list of names? Hassan. Supposedly Hassan has just been doing the Russia apologia for free this whole time. Absolutely wild.
Real situation in the country. Threat of crime coming from people of color and immigrants, including new immigrants from Ukraine.
Oh, overspending on foreign policy and at the expense of the interests of white U.S. citizens. It's wild how many conservatives you, like, just across the board you hear just parroting exactly what Russia wants them to think and say. Such fucking sheep. Yeah, basically the whole idea that we need to keep our money here and not help other countries, even if they're our allies and they're being invaded, because, like, veterans are going homeless. Very popular conservative talking point seems to come from fucking Russia.
Overspending on foreign policy and at the expense of the interests of white U.S. citizens. Constant lies to the voters by U.S. political party B in power and last.
Oh, U.S. political party B means the Democrats, I'm guessing.
But not least, America is suffering a defeat despite candidate B's efforts. We are being drawn into the war. Our guys will die in Ukraine.
There it is. Every account on Twitter you've seen posting that Biden is going to pull U.S. troops into war with Ukraine, Russian talking point. Our guys means, obviously this is coming from Russia, but when they say our guys, this is what they want the right-wing influencers to be saying. That our guys are going to die in Ukraine because Biden is going to send U.S. boots on the ground in Russia and Ukraine to help them fight. All these fear-mongering talking points. All these reasons you hear from conservatives these days about why they're going to vote for Trump. So many of these talking points you hear as a justification, and they came from Russia. The top that these talking points came from was fucking Russia.
Now, if that also sounds like a list of pro-Trump right-wing talking points, or frankly, your average day on Fox, it essentially is. But it also highlights how Russia launders its propaganda into the American psyche, especially through the use of social media, which is why Tenet Media came in handy. The indictment notes Company One, which describes itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues, the exact same language used by Tenet Media on its website and social media channels, and identifies 6 commentators as its talent. The indictment doesn't name them, but Tenet Media has 6 right-wing YouTube.
So, Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and Lauren Southern are the biggest names that came up in this. Paid by Russia. The fact that Dave Rubin is a gay man taking money from a, like, regime that bans gayness and criminalizes so much as, like, telling kids that gay people exist, like, criminalizes that the same way that Republicans in America want to. Well, now that you think about it, it's like, where did they get the idea from? They're taking ideas from Russia. The Republican push to destroy American democracy and freedom is a playbook they've gotten from the fucking Kremlin. Now we know where it all comes from.
Commentators on its roster. Tim Pool, Benny Johnson.
Yeah, apparently Tim Pool in Damage Control is now 180'd on Ukraine and is now pro-Ukraine. Because he's just a massive grifter and he doesn't want to lose money.
Dave Rubin, Taylor Hanson, Lauren Southern, and Matt.
Lauren Chen, the other Lauren, was also a high-ranking member of Tenet Media who is getting paid directly by Russia, something I'm pretty sure I've said. There's no way Lauren Chen isn't, like, a paid shill by Russia. It's like, I don't know. Do you think this Russia stuff will help Democrats? I hope so. It's getting some media attention, more than I expected, like MSNBC covering it. So, it could. It could. I don't know how much that conservative fans, though, care about, like, Russia being, like, the real mouthpiece or the real place where their talking points are coming from, where their news is filtered through. I guess in dictatorships, the only good undesirables are the ones that agree with you, talking about Russia. Yeah. This is PSYOP shit? Yeah. Yeah. These people are Russian PSYOPs, it would seem.
Christensen.
Makes sense considering Dave Rubin is like a blatant grifter. Tim Pool is so dumb if anything he says is something he believes that I'm surprised he can dress himself in the morning. Which, to be fair, I mean, he doesn't have much outfit variety. So yeah, and then Lauren Southern is extremely smart. Lauren Southern's an interesting person. We debated once, and then after that, she followed me on Twitter, and then, like, a while later, like, when the Lonnie stuff happened, she, like, randomly messaged me, like, after I hadn't, like, spoken to her, like, in a year, like, since that debate, and she just messages me, like, a weirdly heartfelt message, like, apologizing for the drama. It's like, okay, well, thank you, I guess, but all right. It was weird. I don't know. Maybe she's just really smart and wants to have, like, a lot of people that are in any way influential in her pocket or something. I don't know what the deal was with that. But yeah, I'm guessing she's kind of just a, like, ruthless business person. And Benny Johnson, I don't know a lot about. I'm pretty sure his whole thing is he tries to do this, like, almost Ben Shapiro light kind of thing. Like another, you know, he's another one of those conservative dudes who dresses sharply and tries to present themselves as, like, a reasonable, level-minded individual who's wading through the insanity of the woke left, right?
And you will be forgiven if right now you're asking yourself, who? Just know that some of them are prominent MAGA celebrities. They adamantly deny involvement in posts on Elon Musk's ex-Twitter. Tim Pool said that he and others were deceived and were victims. Dave Rubin claimed he knew absolutely nothing about any of.
So they're all claiming they didn't know that the company that they were a part of was paid by Russia. The reality is they all knew, obviously, and they didn't want to just... They have to deny the allegation that has been consistent for years that these conservative figures are paid by Russia. They had to deny that, obviously. They can't admit that and just, like, yeah. But now they're in just, like, a really rough situation where it's really hard for them to deny and claim that Russian electoral interference is just some crazy conspiracy.
Of this fraudulent activity. The indictment does suggest the unnamed commentators were unaware that they were being paid by Russian efforts. But a look into the internet presence of some of these contenters, some of these creators' content, shows what Russia was looking for.
What else is going on with Ukraine these days? It's not just that we are funding the war. Everyone knows that we're funding a war, which you might argue if you're funding the war, if you're paying for the war, maybe that means you're in the war, but we've never actually gotten authorization for this war. Our leaders keep telling us that this is the most important thing in town.
This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
Apologize to Russia?
A lot of conservatives believe this. A lot of, like, even... From time to time, I'll watch, like, podcasts on YouTube just to fill, like, the dead air while I'm playing games or something off stream. And one of the podcasts I watch is called PKA, Painkiller Already. Old podcast. If you're more on the sensitive side and you can't just cringe at hearing shit that's offensive that you don't agree with, then just avoid it. Trust me. Because it is run by three almost middle-aged, extremely wealthy white men who have had relatively cushy lives and have landed in very conservative positions and have a lot to say about people who've had it harder than them and how they haven't gotten lives as good as them. Mind you, these are all dudes who've made their living off of YouTube, running a pod. Like, they blew up back during the Call of Duty commentary days. And I watched this podcast, and the most conservative member of the podcast is Taylor. And he's a funny dude and all, but God, does the guy clearly just buy hook, line, and sinker most conservative propaganda he hears. Sometimes he second guesses it and has an unconventional position for a conservative or a Trump supporter, which he is. But he thinks he's like a rational free thinker who's just buying Fox propaganda from wherever he's hearing it. And I hear that dude talk all the time about how, like, Ukraine is a money hole that we're sinking our money into, and if we continue this war, it's going to lead to World War III. He's obviously not paid by Russia. The random, like, funny, like, dude on the podcast, like, it is not a, like, I mean, it's a kind of right-wing podcast when it gets into politics, but it's not always politics. It's not like a Russia paid for propaganda outlet. It's just some dudes who make funny jokes on a podcast who happen to be conservative, and they fall for these talking points. They repeat word for word the shit that originally came from Russian propaganda mills and disinformation campaigns. I bring this all up as a point of saying, like, even the normal dude that you know, that if like, even that one normal buddy you got, or that one normal dude you know who's just kind of conservative, probably believes these things and has no idea that he's literally getting brainwashed by enemy foreign powers influencing our politics and affecting the perception of a reality of our citizens. What Russia is doing is pushing so hard to make reality optional. That's really what this is all about. Reality being optional. For conservatives, what's real, what isn't real, what happened and what didn't happen, they decide. They get it from media figures that are paid by Russia. Russia is deciding the reality for millions and millions and millions and millions of American voters.
Of course, it's not like Russia had to pay everyone, since we all know there are elected officials willing to push the Kremlin line for free.
Vladimir Putin has not said he wants to go march across Europe and take Europe. And the reality is Ukraine is not even a NATO member nation. But if you want to know something, Lloyd Austin and the others here, more than anything, want to send your uncles, your cousins, and your...
Hey, guys, do you think if Ukraine was a member of NATO, that Republicans, even the ones that aren't paid by Ukraine, would be saying that we should be helping Ukraine then? Because right now, there are several NATO nations that desperately want Ukraine to hold fast and stand firm. Because if Ukraine gets annexed, it becomes a Russian satellite state or just part of Russia that'll be touching several NATO countries. Like, I know it touches Poland, and I'm pretty sure it touches, maybe it's just Poland. But yeah, Poland in particular is a NATO member that does not want Ukraine falling to Russia. So I'm pretty oh, and Lithuania? Okay. So I'm pretty certain that, like, if Ukraine was in NATO, it would make no difference. None of these people would argue that, like they wouldn't argue any differently. It's not a real argument. It's just them listing things that might sound reasonable to the lowest common denominator of Americans. Like, why are we helping this country? They're not even in NATO. Well, a lot of Americans don't know the geography of Europe or really anything outside of America. I mean, hardly any of them know the geography outside of their town. So, for them, just like imagining our money going off to some country that they can't even picture the shape of in their mind, us spending millions and millions and millions, as they're told, when in reality what we're doing is shipping, like, just dust-gathering old equipment from our what's the word for it? Our stocks, our excess stocks Like, we are sending money, but most of it is like physical items that were already made, paid for, and weren't being used. So it's just, yeah, there's just, I don't know. It really does seem like what probably happened was these, like, a bunch of the biggest figures got paid. Oh, shit. You know what? I'm thinking Chris Ray Gun kind of whistleblowed on this years ago. I think Chris Ray Gun, like, kind of... Oh, shit. That's crazy. I tried to find the video, and people are talking about how it's really hard to find now. And I found a Reddit page that's talking about where they found it. And both the comments that say they found a copy of it are talking about finding it in my video from years ago. Here's the Xanderhall video, about 2 minutes, 30 seconds, in case anyone wants to try and get a higher quality version. Okay. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I show this video. That's wild. I just go looking for a video clip on the internet, stumble across a Reddit page where people are also looking for it, and they start talking about my channel and how, like, my channel's the best place to find it. That's fucking crazy. Anyway, here's the video where I think Chris Ray Gun might have low-key whistleblew this shit years ago.
Now, this is the story all about how several years back I got an email from some shady people with a lot of power who said, you can make a ton of money towing the conservative party line and we'll make sure that happens for you. And I said, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be beholden to any fucking body but me. And I refused that offer, and the years went by, and it's become very fucking clear who the people were who just did not refuse that money. And it's fucking actually wildly obvious, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah. So that was like years ago when Chris uploaded that TikTok. Like literal years ago.
Your sons and daughters to the front lines in Ukraine.
I will not vote for $1 more to Ukraine. I will not vote for one more piece of materiel to Ukraine. We are far too entangled in this conflict. I believe we have extended this conflict.
What's in America's best interest is to accept Ukraine is going to have to cede some territory to the Russians, and we need to bring this war to a close.
It's really crazy that, like, a adversarial, like, nation, foreign nation, has declared an information war in America, Metal Gear Solid 2 style, and there's realistically nothing that can be done about it. Like, remember, all of these years of Russian-paid propaganda that is being pushed by these people has also coincided with this narrative that the left is violent and basically framing, like, any form of political action against, like, any far-right takeover or anything like that as, like, insane and everything. Meanwhile, these people are literally paid for by a country that wants to destroy America. Like, the Russian oligarchy wants to destroy America. It's not like saying, oh, Republicans want to destroy America. I'm saying the Russian oligarchy is an adversarial nation that we are currently in a conflict with, a proxy war, basically. Well, kind of, we're fighting through a proxy, sort of. Russia's just fighting. Anyway, the idea that we have to sit by and remain cordial and polite while now knowing that the Republican Party is pretty much wholesale in the pocket of a country that is our enemy, this is a fundamental flaw of democracy, if I have ever seen one. That in our, like, era of politics, we have to politely smile and play along the lines and not just acknowledge the reality that the Republican Party is trying to sell out our entire country to an adversarial foreign nation, and that every single American is at threat because of this. Like we just don't get to acknowledge that validly because there's still a level of deniability still being pushed. I don't know, man. It's crazy to me that like so many people in our government can proudly state that they are in the pocket of an adversarial nation's leader, and that our response to that is not like handcuffs. You know what I mean? Like Russia or like J.D. Vance and Trump realistically should be arrested for suggesting that the leader of an adversarial nation to our own deserves an apology or deserves a win in a conflict that we're in. Like, that is bragging about how your administration is going to sabotage a conflict with an adversarial nation when you take power. Like, how is this something that we're okay with? Seriously. This is literally a matter of national security. One of the most important things that a thing can be. National security. Like, one of the most important things, period. Like, when you see a list of important things, in the top 6, one of them is the 2 words national security next to each other. That is a very important thing, and that is what is threatened right now. I want Kamala Harris and the Democrats to go hard on this shit, because the Republicans are currently a puppet of an adversarial nation that wants America to lose.
Close.
You know, I know you might have been surprised not to see former Fox host Tucker Carlson in there, but he does make an appearance in the Justice Department's indictment, just not by name. The indictment reveals that one of the indicted RT employees shared a video of a well-known U.S. political commentator visiting a grocery store in Russia, a likely reference to Tucker's infamous Moscow shopping trip in which he marveled how much better it was shopping in the dictatorship than shopping at home, ahead of the interview in which he did everything but...
It really is an information war being waged on us by Russia. It's been like... It was a conspiracy for a while to believe it went any further than bot farms posting shit online, and then we found out that members of Trump's administration were working with Russia to help him get elected, and we're like, okay, well, no, thinking he had anything to do with it is conspiratorial. And now we're finding out that some of the largest figures that have presided over the cultural wave that brought Trump into office and keeps him relevant are paid off by Russia. It's like, Some online lefties are even parroting the whole stop the war in Ukraine and leave Ukraine talk. Well, that shit like tons of stuff that the right-wingers say like a lot of the stuff that right-wingers say bleeds over to the left. Sleepy Joe was an insult towards Biden almost exclusively used by Trump. That was Trump's nickname for Joe Biden. How many times have you heard lefties calling Biden Sleepy Joe seriously as an insult on the basis that he's not, like, energetic enough, right? Like, the online left adopted Trump's talking points about Biden fully and then parroted them and helped push them around to the point where they had to replace Biden because even on the left, the talking points that Trump originated got so popular. Because the most fun thing to do around Biden, because he's just a very dry, good president, is to repeat deranged bullshit about him. Like, he's too sleepy to be president and do a good job. It's like, what?
Literally sit in Vladimir Putin's lap and hug him like he's Santa Claus. Later that day, a producer messaged the company founder saying, "They want me to post this," adding, "It just feels like overt shilling." The 2 founders of the media company are also unnamed in the indictment.
So is Russia telling them, like, to make, like, specific posts, too? Like, oh, you got to post this on Twitter, claiming that, like, Ukraine's evil or something?
But Tenet Media is registered to 2 people named Liam Donovan and Lauren Chen. Chen was fired from her job as a commentator for right-wing Blaze Media. She had contributed to videos to its Blaze TV. It seems the reality of it all.
By the way, something you'll notice is that Lauren Chen is, like, very genius. I know you can't see it as well. I'll have to make my chat go away for a second. Does anyone recognize what she's wearing in that photo and what she wears in all of her videos these days? Look very closely at the shirt she's wearing, the shoulders of it, for example. Now, guys, if you're ever wondering how much of the appearance and branding of a lot of these female conservative pundits in particular is intentional, she is literally wearing the exact blouse style that the trad wife Wojak wears. Wojaks, for those that somehow don't know, are little drawings of different archetypes of people that usually conservative figures online play dolls with. And so it'll be like them as like a Chad Wojak and then like a trad wife Wojak, and they'll like create a scenario where they totally win the girl. It's like playing dolls, but adult men do it online, and they tend to be conservative, and they use those little drawings to do it. It's pretty funny.
To its Blaze TV. It seems the reality of it all is you hear these narratives. Ukraine is our true enemy.
There's no way that's been fully confirmed, One Piece 34. If it is, then I'll look into it tomorrow, and we'll find out if it was a transphobia-motivated shooting. If that ends up being the case, then I imagine the right's going to drop coverage of that story instantly.
Or the economy is doing so terribly, it's in ruin, in spite of ample evidence to the contrary. How the white man is falling behind because the government is giving preferential treatment to blacks and brown people.
These talking points literally come from Russia. I'm sure they were already popular before, before Russia had a strong... maybe Russia's been impacting our politics since before 2016. Who knows? But at least, it didn't seem like this kind of stuff was as big. Like, the corporate Russia-funded shit, like the Blaze Media stuff, wasn't as big during the culture war era of, the Gamergate times. The Gamergate times spawned these people, and then it seems like Russia, picked them up, more likely than not. So don't get me wrong. The idea that, minorities are getting preferential treatment over white, straight, heterosexual people or whatever, that's been a talking point for a while, but the overwhelming preponderance of people repeating it seems to be fed into by, and the fire seems to be fed by Russian money. Because there were always people who believe that dumb shit and would say that stuff, but man, has it become the basis of conservative talking points over the last 8 years, maybe 6 years. The idea that white, straight, cis people are now the disadvantaged in society.
Remember the twin boogeyman of DEI and critical race theory? You hear these things and you think, yeah, these are just right-wingers being the miserable wretches that they always are. When it turns out
she's cooking.
They might also be getting cash apps from Mother Russia to say it. But it's not like some genius idea, right?
You're getting paid by Russia through Cash App? That's fucking crazy. Hello, comrade. Have you repeated the anti-American talking points we sent you? All right, we will cash up you $25,000 and a bottle of vodka. Thank you, comrade. May America fall.
The Russians are just banking on the things that right-wingers are already hopped up about in order to scare white American voters into voting for the candidate Vladimir Putin wants to win. And no surprise, his preferred candidate is this guy.
Russia, you had a relationship with them and North Korea and the Mullahs and
But nobody was tougher with Russia than me.
Joining me now is David Korn, Washington bureau chief for Mother Jones and MSNBC political contributor, and Anand Giridharadas, publisher of the newsletter The Ink and MSNBC political analyst. Thank you both for being here. David, I will start with you. It is sort of remarkable to see the complete capture of the U.S. Republican Party by pro-Russian interests. So this group that is now indicted, it's not like they had to work hard. The right has already been pre-captured to the Russian side. But what do you make of this indictment and what it is revealed?
Well, we got to look at this a little bit in historical context. This isn't coming out of nowhere. This is now the third election in a row that the Russians have tried to intervene to help Donald Trump. They did it in 2016.
And this is fundamentally what, I don't like about the civility politics of America. Back in the 1960s, America executed a couple for, leaking national secrets to Russia. Just straight up. I think they were, the Rosensteins or something. I forget. It was some Rosen something. And they got executed. Yeah, Rosenbergs, my bad. It was Rosen something. I just remember the word Rose. But, yeah, they got straight up executed by the USA for leaking secrets, like valuable secrets to Russia. The fact that that energy is not carried forward to the Republican Party and some of the most powerful people in our government doing essentially the same thing to weaken America for a strike from Russia, which is effectively what this must be for, right? Like, why else is Russia investing in destroying American democracy? They want to weaken us. And why do they want to weaken us? Why any other nation would want to weaken America? To strike America and have a better chance of actually winning.
And Donald Trump said it wasn't happening. He lied. He aided and abetted the attack. And the whole Republican Party, or most of it, and the conservative movement ended up agreeing with him because they didn't want to be caught cross swords with him on this point. So right there, he led them into this Russian denialism. And then in 2020, we kind of forget about this because Trump didn't win. But Ukrainian officials who were tied to Russian intelligence, according to whom? According to Trump's own Treasury Department, were putting out disinformation about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. It didn't work, but it made the election close. And the right wing was amplifying this stuff, Rudy Giuliani and others, Fox News, over and over again. So the Russians have a pretty clear idea about how to play this. It's nothing new for them. They've had years of experience, and here they are out there with these right-wing commentators, also with these websites that are out there and ginning up right-wingers to push these talking points as we get closer to the election.
He's completely right. Ironically enough, every day it seems like we're getting closer to that one Metal Gear Solid 2 bit being reality.
But there are things not covered by genetic information.
What do you mean?
Human memories, ideas, culture.
This is basically what's happening.
Genes don't contain any record of human history.
Is it something that should not be passed on? Should that information be left at the mercy of nature?
We've always kept records of our lives, through words, pictures, symbols, from tablets to books.
So, the Republicans have done everything in their power to attack DEI, CRT, things that they have decided to make sound scary, but what they're actually calling these things is history. People learn from history if they're able to actually learn what happened. And Republicans have been desperately, for a long time, but especially as of late, attacking the education system and trying to ban the teaching of certain history. The existence of slavery, how bad conservative movements have affected the quality of life for Americans in the past, the history of civil rights movements. These are all things the Republicans want banned, because if they can ban it, if they can destroy that information and destroy that history, no one will remember it. And if no one remembers it, no one can learn from it. And that is what the conservatives need to hold the minds of the people. That is what will win them the most people, is no historical context from which people can hear a talking point from them and be like, wait a second, that sounds a lot like so-and-so. Yeah, the attempted genocide of all the Native Americans, they don't want that being taught. They push it as though teaching this history is teaching young white straight kids to hate themselves. That's not what it is at all. Learning history that other people did just because they're the same race as you or the same sexuality as you or the same gender as you does not in any way indicate that you should feel bad about sharing those characteristics. It's simply learning history. They're just trying to make it sound like learning that history is an attack on you, so you'll agree that you shouldn't be allowed to know or learn it, and neither should your kids or any future generations.
But not all the information was inherited by later generations. A small percentage of the whole was selected and processed, then passed on. Not unlike genes, really.
That's what history is, Jack.
But in the current digitized world, trivial information is accumulating every second, preserved in all its triteness. Never fading, always accessible.
Rumors about petty issues, misinterpretations, slander.
All this junk data, preserved in an unfiltered state, growing at an alarming rate.
It will only slow down social progress, reduce the rate of evolution.
Right. You seem to think that our plan is one of censorship.
Are you telling me it's not?
You're being silly. What we propose to do is not to control content, but to create context.
Create context?
The digital society furthers human flaws and
I love old
selectively
Metal Gear
rewards
Solid dialogue.
development of convenient half-truths. Just look at the strange juxtapositions of morality around you.
Billions spent on new weapons in order to humanely murder other humans.
Rights of criminals are given more respect than the privacy of their victims.
Although there are people suffering in poverty, huge donations are made to protect endangered species. Everyone grows up being told the same thing.
All parties here except for Raiden are insane, obviously, but the argument being made is that the proliferation of things like the internet or just the general connection of people being able to communicate more and more means that over time, the memory of historical events, the reality that people choose to believe, will get more and more muddied and harder to sort of parse out. And now we're kind of entering an era that's very similar to what's described there, right? Like this sort of, we're in a time where the majority of posts and things on the internet are not generated by humans. I'm not sure if you followed any of my segments where I've talked about like AI, but it is pretty much fully confirmed now that dead internet theory is real. In fact, more than half of the things posted online were not made by humans now. So like, most content on the internet is not man-made. It's AI generated or produced by bots or reposted by bots, not a real human person. And as this happens, as more and more of what you even think other people believe is controlled by algorithms, bots, and any person who can just pay to run a bot farm, everything's going to continue to drift apart. You know, at this point, half the country, roughly down the middle, is schismed on what reality is, whether or not like injustices have taken place in American history is a matter of subjective opinion, not whether or not those injustices were injustices, but whether or not they happened is the thing that is a matter of subjective opinion now. At least for conservatives, it is.
It's just been going on, and the right has just refused to acknowledge this, and for some, it's been very profitable to not acknowledge it.
Yeah, and Anand, that's where I want to come to you, because, you know, you've tailed with some of these folks who were annoyed that you were criticizing the billionaire class. But I mean, to me, getting at these people who, a lot of people who are watching this show probably don't even know who Tim Pool and these people are, but that is because they are trying to capture a much younger demographic. They're sort of taking that Russian
Russia is desperate to win over the hearts and minds of young Americans. And it makes me wonder, like, are they also trying to do this on the other end? Like, is there some, like, obviously we haven't found out that, like, Hassan is paid by Russia, but it makes me wonder, like, are a ton of tanky figures, like, obviously not the obvious ones, like those that are working with Russia today, but, like, are some of the tanky figures paid by Russia? Could China be dipping into this and paying people? I don't know. It's just political commentators receiving money from foreign adversarial nations, not good.
Capture and then marketing it down to younger and younger receivers of information.
To be fair, yeah. If it was anything that would be like paying out tankies, it would be China. China would be paying out tankies for like pushing pro-China stuff. I know that Hakeem recently made a video about how the Tiananmen Square massacre wasn't real, and the thumbnail is like that famous photo of the person standing in front of the tank and big red text like slapped over it that says fake.
Yeah, you know, we have a post up at the Ink tonight trying to look at this indictment in a larger light, and I'd say a couple things. First of all, there are a lot of things countries can do to each other, particularly when they're powerful countries like Russia. There's a big menu, right? Binders full of choices available to Vladimir Putin, right? You can take out power grids, you can do stuff on banking systems, you can bomb things, you can do assassinations, the whole slew of things. I think first we have to think about the fact that in these three elections, as David's talked about, basically the era we've lived in the last decade plus, the Russian weapon of choice to sabotage the United States of America and push it into democratic decay is the inflammation of our discourse. Right? I think that's really significant. Like, I don't think these operations necessarily have tilted elections or had that enormous an effect. We have our own problems in this country that we don't need Russian help to.
It really feels like what, if anything, the most innocent outcome, the least bad outcome that Russia is trying to create with this is to weaken America militarily. It wouldn't surprise me, because, like, there's this narrative that, like, America is super warmongering, and the more research that I do, it's like, man, yeah, America does have, especially the further back you go, like, around, like, Republican administrations in, like, the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we definitely got involved in conflict in a way that seems far less justifiable. But, man, even, like, for the most part, Republicans haven't gotten us into much conflict, mostly because no conflict starts when Republicans are in power, generally, coincidentally enough. But it seems as though, more often than not, when we get into conflict, more recently, a Democrat's in office. And when you actually look into it, it's not because the Democrat wants to start a war, is it like a war hawk? It's because conflict just starts, and America is, like, obligated in some way, usually contractually, to help its ally. Mind you, like, if you're wondering how, like, the average lefty responds to this argument, I made this argument recently talking about how, like, the U.S. has agreements that, like, mandate it help to protect certain allies, including Israel, and the response from many people in my comments was, I don't care if they have agreements with certain countries like Israel. We don't need to be getting involved in conflicts or helping a genocide. It's like, okay, well, you just, like, do you not just care? Do you just not care about how, like, politics actually works, like, at all? It's just about, like, chanting slogans? I don't know. Anyway, America is obligated to protect its allies, like Ukraine. And because of that, I imagine that what Russia wants to do, what China might want to do, what Iran might want to do, what any adversarial nation you could think of might want to do with America, would be to create a schism in the voter population that forces American leaders to shy away from helping our allies and getting involved in any conflict. I mean, with Israel, fuck it. Like, I don't know if you guys know that I've got, like, Israeli fans that don't like Israel, but they live there, and, like, if we stop supporting Israel, they're gonna die. Like, there are good people in Israel that are there, and our military and financial support is keeping them from getting airstruck, or I should just say bombed, by Hamas, as in, like, bombs are exploding over their house regularly. And if that stops, if that support stops, mind you, the Iron Dome is already getting outdated, and bombs are slipping through and getting to civilian populations. Like, there are fine people that live in Israel that are not genocidal maniacs that die without U.S. support. Like, Britain and Israel's other allies are nowhere near as valuable to Israel as America is, you know? The Iron Dome's outdated now. Did you guys not know that the Iron Dome was made to stop bombs made out of, like, sugar and fertilizer? Like, as of late, Hamas is getting their hands on repurposed Israeli weaponry from all the bombs that land in Gaza and don't go off, because it's getting bombed so much they can actually arm themselves with the unexploded munitions. Hamas is stocking themselves up with arms from, I believe they've gotten arms from Iran as well. Not to mention, Israel was recently attacked by Iran, which, mind you, Iran is a very capable country. If Iran decides to go in, like, guns blazing with all it can do against Israel, it's going to be a problem. Like, we'll have to help. Like, they just sent like a little poke that was that drone volley before, and, like, damage was done to Israeli civilian populations. The Iron Dome is becoming exponentially less effective against the munitions being used by Hamas on Israeli civilian populations.
To create, but it is their judgment of our Achilles heel that is so revealing here. And when you look at some of these people, these very inflammatory people who they've been...
I didn't get to finish my main point. Yeah, it feels like what Russia wants to do is left and right push continue to promote the idea that any conflict whatsoever the U.S. gets involved in is bad, no matter what. Like the idea on left and right that we don't need to be supporting Ukraine. We need to stop supporting any allies in any conflict, wholesale stop supporting Israel. Like, all this seems like it may be coming from Russia, a lot of it at least, to make it such that U.S. leaders in the future are scared to help allies when, say, Russia invades. If like, it becomes so unpopular to be funding Ukraine, maybe America stops doing that. And that's what I think Russia wants. Russia wants world leaders to be terrified of the voter response to helping any ally nation if, say, Russia invades them in the future. So America becomes basically neutered on the world stage. That's what I think might be Russia's goal. Neutering America on the world stage, getting people to be as anti-war wholesale as possible so America cannot defend its allies. I don't think Russia wants to attack us directly necessarily, outside of like informational war. I think they want to have carte blanche to attack NATO member nations, European nations, anything that's touching them they want to take, and they want no pushback from America. What's the best way to do that? Make it so the sitting U.S. president is terrified to help any nation we're in agreement with, because the voters will lose their shit and will make sure they don't get elected again. That is what I think Russia's goal is.
Funding, it makes you realize, like regular people at home, you are being manipulated to hate your neighbor more than you otherwise would. You are being manipulated to feel like everything is hopeless. You are being manipulated into these positions. And in a
lot of the Russian talking points these conservative pundits are repeating are about how America is so weak and in such a bad place right now, which of course are the same shit you hear from Russian military ads. Who's seen that recent Russian military ad? It's so bad. Oh my god. Let's see. It's a new one. Yeah, it's Russian military ad. Be a gay or men is what it's called. Are you gonna be gay or are you gonna be a man and die in Ukraine?
Из чего же сделаны наши мужчины? Из татушек и проколотых ушек? Из иллюзий и банановых смузи?
Isn't it interesting how many of these like talking points, the idea that look at this, the left is feminizing men. These talking points the right has been repeating, we're now seeing in a Russian military ad that's being used as propaganda both against America and Ukraine, its ally, using talking points that they are shilling to Republican politicians to make popular in America. And American conservatives are falling for these talking points.
Сделаны наши мужчины из яркого грима и стримов.
Oh my god, it's Hassan.
Из сладких пирожных и брендов одежных.
It is really weird how much like Hassan glazes for Russia when like the Russian government despises everything about Hassan, from the way he dresses and paints his nails to the way that like he is pro-gay and trans. Like it's just weird to do, like, to be like that and to do apologia for a country that like, would they like arrest Hassan if he stepped into Russia for like just dressing the way he does? Like, I don't even know. Like I think they might just like execute you at the like terminal entering the country if you have like painted nails as a guy.
Сделаны наши мужчины. Из чего сделан ты? Присоединяйся к тем, кто сделан из чести, доблести и мужества.
Honor and valor and courage somehow still doesn't beat like the average U.S. military recruitment ad. It still doesn't beat the like weird Call of Duty ass ads that we have now, because they don't like our military has such a high budget that we can make the CGI and our military recruitment ads look better than Avengers Endgame. Yeah, we have some really high budget, really fucking crazy recruitment ads in America. That our ads still beat out that one, even in like the cringe macho department, to be honest. The two genders, gay and man, as we all know, of course. Yes, thank you so much, by the way, if you enjoyed this segment. I feel it was quite fun. Nice to get some vindication on a ton of conservative content creators just being grifters paid off by enemy nations to our own. Absolutely fantastic, amazing stuff. Love to find out that so many of the conservative pundits that I've been responding to for years are literally agents pushing for America's downfall, working for enemy nations to our own. Really, really crazy stuff. Wild to think that, in a way, the current war between nations being fought online or in the world is an information war being fought online. Kind of crazy to think about. Anyway, if you enjoyed this segment, consider leaving a like. Thumbs up mean a ton and help my channel a lot no matter when, where, or what you're watching. Comment down below to compound the effect. Subscribe and ring the bell icon so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload. Follow my social medias, all linked down below in the description. I really do appreciate it. It means a ton. Join my fan Discord if you haven't already. It's the main hub of my community and just a great place to hang out. I really like it. I announce all my new uploads and streams there so you won't miss anything, and host game events, call-in streams, and watch parties. So if you haven't already, join my Discord. Make sure you hop on in there. And if you feel like it and you can afford it, if you want to help keep a roof above my head, the lights on, and the water running, consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buying merch in the Streamlabs link down below. But regardless of how you support me, even if you're just watching the stream and vibing, thank you so much, and have a good one. Hell yeah. How do you guys like that? I feel like it came out pretty good. Pepper T21, thank you so much for the $5. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Said, also, you mean this edit? What was I referring to when you mentioned this? Oh, I think you found... Okay, yeah, it's this one. Yeah. Yeah, this amazing edit of Tuco in Avengers Endgame I mentioned earlier. Thank you for linking this, Pepper T21.
Impossible.
Booyah! Wow! this kicks like a mule with his balls wrapped in duct tape. Wow! Tight, 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 yeah! Blue, yellow, pink. Whatever, man, just keep bringing me that.
I don't even know who you are.
Wow! Damn, man, look at that, look!
I knew it.
Nobody moves crystal in the South Valley but me, bitch!
I love those videos. The insane quality of editing is just, it's so good. It's so goddamn good. I love it. That video has 12 million views, by the way. Why does that look as good as the official movie? It's just amazing editing. You'd be surprised what the power of editing can achieve. Anyway, Pepper T21, thank you for the $5 donation. I really appreciate that. It really means a lot. Thank you, thank you. Said, well, I just made a friend while Pokemon going to the liquor store, and then I panicked and told him my Pokemon Go account is my sister's old account to explain why my avatar is a woman. Aw. Well, you didn't completely fumble the interaction, though, Pepper T21. You did good, and I'm proud of you. Thank you so much, by the way, for the $5 redos. All right, everyone. I really need to use the restroom, but also, this is where we're going to be wrapping up stream, because we're going to be doing a watch party of my blind reactions starting The Legend of Korra, the Avatar The Last Airbender sequel show, in the Progressive Victory Amplify Discord in just a moment. If you guys have not already joined, let me go ahead and grab the Linkarino. I'm trying to find the... There we go. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. Ugh. I'm so bad at Discord, guys. Am I becoming a boomer? Is it over? It might be over for me. Actually, no, I can just grab the link for my announcements. Never mind. I'm such a fucking boomer, guys. It's happening. 25 years old, and it's all over. So sad. Too bad, so sad. Here we go. Okay, everyone. Join in to the VC in the Progressive Victory Discord if you haven't already. Here's a link to the website through which you can join the Discord and hop on in there because we are going to be starting in not too long. We're going to be starting Legend of Korra. So hop in there, get in there right now. I'm going to be in the main stage channel, so make sure you join that. Really quickly, I'm going to see if I can get this set up while I wait for people to join before I wrap things up. Alrighty. So yeah, go ahead and join me in the theater, and I should be given the perms to talk and screen share as well shortly. Unfortunately, I am not a moderator in the Discord server, so I can't just start it on my own. But they're going to give me the things to start it in just a second. At everyone, stream is over, but we are watch partying Legend of Korra. Never seen it in the PV Amplify Discord. Come join. Nice. Nice. All right, everyone. With all that said, go ahead and hop in. I'm excited to see y'all there. I hope you all enjoy the watch party. It's going to be a fun time. And as always, thank you for coming. I'll be live tomorrow, so I hope to see you all there. And, yeah, have a good one. Doo-doo fart.